Good afternoon. Welcome back to Lowell Park. The Cotuit Kettleers are back at home this afternoon against the Falmouth Commodores. Alongside Caleb Kaufman, my name is Josh Rothstein, and Cotuit's coming off a 6-4 loss yesterday. They're just beginning the second half of the season. A lot to like, a lot of stuff to work on that we saw in the first half of the season. What are your thoughts on Cotuit through their first 25 games or so?
Well, Cotuit's been very boom or bust so far at the beginning of the season. Offense on some nights looks unstoppable sometimes. Nick Gonzalez batting .326 on the season. Until last night, he had a 79-game on base streak going back all the way through the New Mexico season. He also leads the league with 20 RBIs and 13 walks. Oliver Major, another great batter in the lineup, especially after coming back from injury. He's batting .413 on the season, has been great in the 3 or 4 holes since he's come back. And then Schmidt and Shavers have provided great power for the team, both with 4 home runs so far this season. So the middle parts of the lineup have looked really strong at points. Then there are other nights where, against our last 2 games against Falmouth, Cotuit mustered only 2 runs in 2 total games, and only 1 hit early in the season against Harwich on the road. So the offense has been pretty boom or bust, and that's also been the fact with the pitching as well. Pitching so far this season has been pretty inconsistent as well for the Kettleers. Sometimes pitching staff is on. Sean Sullivan has MLB quality stuff that he can pitch with, but he's been inconsistent going some games lights out performances. Others he's been so-so. And then also guys like Reed Johnson, who's been an absolute stud so far this season with a .81 ERA in 3 starts and 11 innings pitched. And the bullpen at times has looked really good. And Kyle Nicholas at the very beginning of the season was a lights-out closer for the Kettleers, pitching high 90s most nights. But since it's come down to earth a little bit, settled down mid-high 90s, and has had some walking issues. But overall, the pitching staff has been good for this on the season and just needs to get it consistent for the back end. I think as the Cotuit goes into the second half, they can be a strong contender out of the West and really make a push for the championship. All they need to do is get the batting and pitching to be more consistent, level all throughout. Some good games, some bad games doesn't help you. You need to be consistent all the way through. And if they get that, they are a true contender out of the West.
Meanwhile, today's opponents, the Falmouth Commodores, they're coming off an 8-1 victory over the 5th-place team in the West Division, Hyannis, yesterday. Zach Deloach had 3 RBIs, 2 home runs as well. He padded his league-leading average at 400 on the bump. Sam Strickland, in his final Falmouth start, he had reached his innings limit, so he's no longer with the Commodores. Once again, through 6 solid innings, giving up just 1 run, as he did in the 4-1 victory over Cotuit last week. So Falmouth, although they are just 1 point behind Cotuit and 2 behind Wareham, they have played 3 fewer games. So this division is really up for grabs as we start to head to the home stretch of the season. Falmouth offensively, they are led by Deloach. Other than that, they have some solid offense, but their numbers are relatively in the middle of the pack. One thing that does stand out on the other side of the ball on the mound, they have administered the fewest walks in the league. So they're going to throw strikes, so the Cotuit batters are going to have to be ready for them. So Sam Niederman and RM Layton will have their thoughts pregame, along with the thoughts of Coach Mike Roberts, coming right up.
We got a Western Division matchup between the Falmouth Commodores and the Cotuit Kettleers. Cotuit comes into this ball game just 1 point up on the Commodores. RM Layton alongside my partner Sam Niederman. Sam, this is a big one today. Kettleers trying to bounce back from a tough loss. What do you expect from this ball club?
This could be a turning point for Cotuit. Here's what I expect, Arm, coming into this one. You look at this lineup, they've got to find a way to get through Nick Nastrini, Falmouth starter tonight. He got him good for 5 solid innings in the first matchup between these two back on last Wednesday on the road. If the Kettleers can be aggressive at the plate and find a way to put the ball in play, just like Mike Roberts wants it, their offense will key them to at least stay in this game. That's what they need. If their offense is on, they've got a good chance to win it.
Cotuit coming off of a 6-4 loss here last night at Lowell Park against Bourne. A wacky game where they almost came back in the 9th inning, scored 3, were able to get the tying run to the plate with just 1 out, but they could not come through. Nick Gonzalez was the final out of the ball game. He went 0 for 5 and saw his on-base streak end at 24. But the Kettleers are trying to bounce back, and there was one positive from that ball game. No strikeouts, Sam, and we talked about it earlier, how that was a big issue with this ball club. And now they're starting to turn it around. They've only have the 4th least strikeouts now in the league after having a long way ahead lead in terms of being first in strikeouts.
They were able to pick up on the ball yesterday and against a pretty good starter in Harry Rutkowski, who only struck him out twice in their first meeting. He didn't get him for any strikeouts yesterday. Obviously, the rest of the bullpen for Bourne didn't either. That was a huge positive for Cotuit, and that's the game of baseball. Sometimes those bounces won't go your way, and that's the beauty of it. You get another game at home in front of this great crowd, and hopefully the Kettleers can take advantage of that.
You talk about bounces not going in the Kettleers' direction. There was 2 occasions where they had a runner on base and nobody out. Looked like they were in business. And a couple unlucky double plays, one back to the pitcher and one out to left field, both doubling up the runners on first base. And pretty much an inning killer there.
Yeah, those were 2 huge plays late. And you got to give credit to Bourne. Their defense stepped up. Judd Fabian, who keyed the Bourne offense with a couple of home runs, made a tremendous play out in deep left field to rob Casey Schmidt of a potential home run. And that turned into a double play. And then, of course, the big righty on the mound, Blake Brazell, was able to catch a line out in the 7th inning. So an unfortunate bounce for the Kettleers later in the game. But the beauty of it, you get another day to turn the page, and hopefully some of the karma will swing back in the Kettleers' favor.
And with yesterday's loss, they fell out of first place. They owned first place in the West Division for just about 12 hours after they beat the Gatemen at Wareham. Now they have a chance. If they lose today, they could fall into the 3rd spot. Falmouth, who's snuck up behind both the Gatemen and the Kettleers, could now leapfrog the Kettleers with a win today. As for Falmouth, they came off of a win. They beat up on last place Hyannis yesterday, 8-1. Zach Deloche has been the catalyst of that offense. When we saw him, he was just flirting with a 200 batting average. Now he's up to 400. He leads the Cape. And all of a sudden he hits 2 home runs yesterday against Hyannis.
Yeah, he has been really hot in Jeff Trundy's lineup. You look at Falmouth, they're coming around the bend pretty hot. They've got 3 games in hand, and they're only a game out of first, a half game back of Cotuit for second. This is a huge matchup. It's the 3rd one already between the 2 clubs. You got to beat the contenders head-to-head, especially when you're on your home turf.
And Falmouth actually checks into today's game with the 2nd best batting average in the league. So it's going to be a good test for the Kettleers' arms and the bullpen. Let's throw it to a quick break for the national anthem, and we'll be right back for lineups and first pitch. To Lowell Park, we're just a few minutes away from first pitch here. We'll go through the lineups, of course. First for Falmouth, it'll be Hayden Cantrell leading off and playing second. Batting second is Blake Dunn. He plays center. Zach Deloge batting third and playing right field. Trey Cruz in the cleanup spot playing shortstop. Troy Claunch, the catcher, bats fifth. Taylor Smith, the DH, bats sixth. Jackson Coots, he'll play first base and bat seventh. Steven Moretto batting eighth and playing the hot corner. And Austin Maisel will round things out and play left. They will be tasked with facing Sean Sullivan for the second time this summer. They were able to get to Sullivan for 3 runs, 2 of them earned. In their first time facing him in 3 innings, he gave up 6 hits, struck out 4. What's the keys today for Sean Sullivan to bounce back against this good-hitting Commodore team?
He's got to find a way to finish again. He does a really good job of getting ahead of batters, Aram, but his main problem over his last couple of starts has been finding a way to get that breaking ball in there as an out pitch. He's got a lively fastball. We know he can live in the low 90s consistently, but if he can get his curveball to be effective today, he could be a really tough matchup for the Falmouth lineup.
Something important to look at today, Colton Kessler makes his return behind the dish for the Kettleers. We'll get into the rest of the defense once they take the field, but the Commodores lead the entire Cape League in stolen bases by a good margin with 42, and Kessler is going to have to keep them honest back there. We know he's coming back from that knee injury, and that's going to be something I know they're going to probably know, and they're going to want to run on him, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. At the top of the order, Hayden Cantrell and Blake Dunn combined for 20 swipes already this summer.
Yeah, Dunn is a huge threat in that number 2 spot. We know how good Cantrell is with the bat, but he can turn on the burners on the base paths too. This is a really good Falmouth lineup. I agree with you on the run game aspect. It'll be interesting to see how Colton Kessler fares in his first start behind the plate in some time now, and that's a key to this one too. Can the Kettleers get the leadoff man down? That way you don't have to worry about it too much when you've got less than no outs.
And the Kettleers take the field. We'll take you through the defense. Getting the start in left field today is Christian Robinson. Cam Hill in center, Aubrey Major in right field. As for the infield, Casey Schmidt at the hot corner, Adam Oviedo and Nick Gonzalez up the middle. Of course, you'll see them at short and second just about every game so far this season. Mason McCorder gets his second consecutive start at first base. Colton Kessler makes his return behind the dish. And Sean Sullivan on the mound. Joey Loperfido, the DH today. Of course, on the bump, Sean Sullivan from Cal Berkeley, looking to bounce back after a tough outing the last time he faced Falmouth. And the Kettleers as a ball club, 0-2 this season against the Commodores. They've scored just 2 runs in 2 entire ball games, and they've walked 12 in their 2 games against the Commodores.
Yeah, 2 ugly performances on both sides of the game, pitching and batting against Falmouth. 8 for 62 in total across the 2 games at the plate, with just 4 hits in each game so far. And of course, you mentioned the walks arm. It was ugly at Falmouth in the first meeting between these two, and that's been a big Achilles heel for the Kettleers as of late for their pitching that started off pretty good, specifically in the bullpen. If the bullpen can keep the ball in the strike zone, chances of winning go way up.
And Sullivan's line so far this season, as he makes his 5th start, he's 0-2, 12 innings pitched, he's struck out 15. He surrendered 12 hits and walked 4. You mentioned earlier, Sam, he does a good job of getting ahead of hitters. He did walk 2 in his last outing against Falmouth, but other than that, in his other 3 outings, just 2 walks combined over 9 innings. So something important for Sullivan to do today, get ahead of these Falmouth hitters who check into today's ball game with the second best average in the Cape at 259. Of course, everyone's chasing the Wareham Gatemen, who are hitting 294 as a team. So we're getting ready here for first pitch as Hayden Cantrell will stride to the plate. The switch hitter bats from the left side against the right-handed pitching Sean Sullivan. Cantrell from Louisiana Lafayette. He plays second base today, and he takes a first pitch fastball low, 1-0. The 1-0. That one's a strike. First one of the ball game. Now it's 1-1. Cantrell's been swinging a hot bat for this Commodore ball club. 12 for his last 33. That's 364. A lot of bats at the top of this door lineup have been red hot. Inside corner fastball, 1-2.
He's been really strong, Aram. Back for his second summer. Went 2 for 4 last night. A game in which Falmouth got back on track with an 8-1 win over Hyannis.
1-2 misses down and in. We're evened up at 2.
Of course, it was weird how Falmouth lost 14-0 at Bourne the other night on Monday. That was coming off of a big weekend for them.
The 2-2. Short hops home plate, a good block by Kessler. We're full. Baseball's wacky like that, right? You can lose by 14, bounce back and win 8-1. And Bourne's sneaky. We saw that here yesterday at Lowell Park. They can swing it a little bit. They don't have any superstars per se on that ball club. As the payoff pitch dots the corner. Strike 3, got him looking. 1 up, 1 down to start this ball game. Bourne's scrappy. I think that would be the word to describe them.
Yeah, and they're now 7 points clear of Hyannis for the 4th spot in the West. Hyannis starting to fade a little bit in the dog days of July. We'll see if that trend keeps up.
So now it's Blake Dunn. He bats from the right side. The center fielder gets his first look at Sullivan today. Curveball, big swing and a miss, 0-1. Dunn's second in the Cape League with 10 stolen bases. He's tied with Cantrell, who just struck out. As a 91-mile-an-hour fastball dots the corner, and it's 0-2. Blake Dunn from Western Michigan and Sagatuck, Michigan. He hit .374 this season. 0-2. Got him looking. Another one for Sean Sullivan. 2 straight strikeouts to open up this ball game. Both backwards Ks, and it's Zach Deloche with 2 away.
A nice job by Sullivan to start this game. Got done looking on a changeup on the outside corner, and it's going to be huge for the Kettleers to get him out. He has reached 8 times in 10 previous plate appearances coming into this game, and he's stolen 3 times. We talked about it in the open, how speedy he is out there. A good job by Sullivan to take care of him early.
And here comes the toughest out in this Commodores lineup the last few weeks. Zach Deloche fouls one out of play down the left field line. Deloche, 2 home runs yesterday, 3 runs driven in, and he now leads the Cape League with a .400 batting average.
It's been crazy what this guy has been able to do as of late. Riding a 4-game hitting streak right now and seeing the baseball really well in just 17 games.
The 0-1. Gets the outer half. It's 0-2. He's hitting .486 in his last 10 games. That's 18 for 37. 3 home runs, 7 runs driven in. But Sean Sullivan's ahead of him 0-2. Trying to strike out the side here in the first. The 0-2 just misses off the corner, 1-2. Good pitch there by Sullivan. So Sullivan's still ahead, 1-2. Deloche awaits the pitch. Blew it by him, strike 3, and Sullivan strikes out the side to start off the first inning, and we'll go into the home half of the first. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Perfect ending there in the top of the first for Sean Sullivan. He strikes out the side, and now it's Nick Nastrini for the home half of the first. He gets another look at the Kettleers, a lineup that sounds like this. Nick Gonzalez leading off, Aubrey Major batting second, playing right field, Casey Schmidt batting third and playing third base, Colton Kessler in the cleanup spot catching, Joey Loper-Fido gets a start today, DH in batting fifth, Mason McWhorter at first base batting sixth, Cam Hill, the center fielder, bats seventh, Christian Robinson bats eighth and plays left, and Adam Oviedo rounds things out at shortstop. They're getting their second look at Nick Nastrini, who pitched 5 strong innings in a win. In his second start of the summer, he went 5 innings, gave up 1 run, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Since then, he only made 1 other start at YD. He was touched up for 3 runs in 3 innings. So this is his 3rd start of the season.
The Kettleers were pretty uber aggressive at the plate against Nastrini in his first start. He worked really fast, got the first batter out on just a minimum amount of pitches. In fact, he retired the leadoff man only a couple of times in his 5 innings of work. Joey Loperfido had the big home run against him, but that was the only dent that the Kettleers made.
So leading off for the Kettleers here, it's Nick Gonzalez. He saw his 24 on-base streak end yesterday in an 0 for 5 effort. He looks at the first pitch from Nastrini, misses low, 1-0. This is probably the biggest lull we've seen from Gonzalez, 1 for his last 9. Which is by no means a slump, but for Nick Gonzalez, we're just so used to seeing him mash the ball. The 1-0. Curveball bends into the strike zone, 1-1. Gonzalez got up in the 9th inning with a runner on, 2 away, and the Kettleers were able to get the tying run to the plate. Him and Oviedo were both not able to extend the ball game. 1-1 misses inside, 2-1. Nastrini from UCLA. He stands at 6'3", 200 pounds. He's just a sophomore. The right-hander in the motion, ready for the 2-1 pitch. That's crushed out into left field, but tailing foul and out of play. It had the distance as it takes a tree branch off one of the trees over there in foul territory, but just couldn't keep it fair. Nick Gonzalez yanked that curveball.
Nick got ahead of it, golfed it a little bit, got under it, but just wasn't able to stay back on it enough to put it into the field of play.
Gonzalez checks into today hitting .326. 4 home runs, 20 runs driven in as a leadoff hitter. It's unbelievable. Leads the ball club. The 2-2. That's lifted out into left field. This one should be playable for Maisel out there. And he makes the grab just in foul territory, and the first batter is retired. It's Nick Gonzalez, who flew out to left field. Now it's Aubrey Major. The switch hitter, Aubrey Major, who's been one of the hotter hitters in this Kettleer lineup. He had 2 hits yesterday, 1 from the right side, 1 from the left. He finished 2 for 3 with a walk, 2 singles. The switch hitter bats from the left side here. First pitch from Nastrini, misses down and away, 1-0. Last time the Kettleers saw Nastrini, Aubrey Major was still nursing a little hamstring issue. So he gets his first look at the UCLA Bruin. 1-0. Wave at a changeup in the dirt. It's 1-1. Major hitting .413. That's 19 for 46. 7 doubles, 7 runs driven in. Still has some ground to make up in terms of at-bats. Just 46 in comparison to Nick Gonzalez's 92. Exactly double
That's
the
double,
at-bats.
yeah. I was just doing the math in my head.
And Aubrey's tied with him in doubles. Right at the top of the league. The 2-1 to Major. At the knees, strike 2, 2-2. 93 on the gun from Nastrini. On deck, Casey Schmidt. Nastrini out of the windup. Kicks and deals a 2-2. Blew it by him, strike 3. And 2 quick outs here for the Kettleers. Casey Schmidt, the last hope in the first. So Casey Schmidt, the third baseman, gets his first at bat of the ball game here in the bottom of the first, 2 away. And another guy that's been swinging a flaming hot bat for the Kettleers. Schmidt hitting .316 in his last 10 games. 2 home runs, 9 driven in. Swings at the first pitch, and it's a blooper out into shallow right field. The second baseman Cantrell will make the grab just on the shallow right field grass in a 1-2-3 inning for both sides here. We'll go into the second. It's still scoreless at Lowell Park. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. The side in the first now gets the cleanup hitter Trey Cruz, then Troy Clonch and Taylor Smith. Cruz, the shortstop today from Rice, a junior. Bats from the left side against the righty Sullivan. First pitch curveball, he takes a hack at it, fouls it over the third base grandstand, 0-1. Cruz from Houston, Texas, and Episcopal High School comes into the ball game today hitting .306. That's third on the ball club for the Commodores. The 0-1, fouls one straight back, quickly 0-2.
It's been a three-headed monster at the top of the lineup for Falmouth. Cantrell, DeLoach, and then Cruz. 1, 3, and 4, respectively, in the order. All batting over 300 and all really making an impact.
The 0-2. Fastball misses high, 1-2. That trio combines for 72 hits, Sam. More than 60% of the ball club's entire total. The 1-2. Fouled straight back right in front of us here in the press box. Count remains 1-2. Of course, Trey Cruz from a family of Rice baseball players. His father Jose and uncle Enrique both played for Rice. And his grandfather played 19 years in professional baseball. Sullivan quickly out of the windup. The 1-2. A line drive back up the box for a base hit. The first of the ball game for either team. It's a Trey Cruz single. And now it's Troy Clonch, the catcher who bats fifth today from Oregon State. Saw action in just 19 games this season, of course, because the other catcher over at Oregon State goes by the name Adley Rutschman. He was the first pick in this year's draft and the Golden Spikes Award winner. Pickoff over to first. Cruz wasn't even off the bag. He just stays where he was. Clonch still looking to get going at the plate, hitting just 200. 7 for 35. He has one home run, though, and a few driven in. That fastball dots the outer half, 0-1. On deck is Taylor Smith, the DH. Trey Cruz on first, he singled. Sullivan, first time out of the stretch, comes set at the belt. Kicks and deals the 0-1. At the knee, strike 2. Cruz third on the team with 4 stolen bases. Of course, the Commodores lead the entire Cape League with 42 swipes. Sullivan looking for his 4th strikeout just here in the second inning. He's ahead 0-2 on Troy Clonch. Pickoff over to first. Cruz dives back. Long look from Sullivan. He checks on Cruz again. Comes set and steps off. We'll wait for the 0-2 pitch a little bit longer. The 0-2. Fastball just misses away. It's 1-2. Sullivan trying to nick at that corner over there. Seen him miss just off the plate in 2 consecutive 0-2 counts.
He's been going to that same spot, either away from the righty or the lefty, about a baseball's width off that outside corner of the zone.
The 1-2. Got him swinging, and that's the 4th strikeout of the ball game for Sean Sullivan. He's retired 4, and they've all been set down via the K.
Looking really good with the fastball early. He's been able to sit 90, 91 on that last one with a lot of sink away from the right-handed batter in Clonch. But even on his 3rd strikeout against DeLoach, he just went straight upstairs with 94 miles an hour.
Taylor Smith, the catcher from Grayson County Community College, just a sophomore. Put up great power numbers over at Grayson County. Another pickoff over to first. Cruz dives back. 322, 16 long balls, 57 runs driven in. Another native of Texas. He's from Georgetown, Texas, and Gateway College Prep. First pitch, curveball, gets away from Kessler, but Cruz not able to advance. Good job by Kessler to keep it in front. Of course, Kessler making his return behind the dish after a couple weeks not playing. He made his initial return as a DH for 2 ball games, now ready behind the dish after that knee bruise. Strike on the inner half, it's 1-1. Smith bats from the right side. He's got the high socks. Cruz over at first base. Hands on his knees, not a big lead. Matt Bender gets the outer half. It's 1-2. Sullivan looking for his 5th strikeout of the ball game. He struck out all 4 he's retired so far. The 1-2 pitch. Misses low, 2-2. Claunch, one of 2 catchers that rotate on this ball club for Falmouth, the other being Matt Nelson from Florida State. 2-2 pitch. Got him swinging again. That's 5 strikeouts with 2 away here in the second inning for Sean Sullivan.
Nice job by Sullivan, and all of these strikeouts coming on his fastball. Once again, a lot of run away from the right-handed hitter.
Sullivan locked in on the mound right now, and he'll get Jackson Coots. Pickoff over, and he's back easily. Sullivan's just 1 strikeout away from tying his summer high, which was 6 against Hyannis when he started off the summer on June 12th. Looks like he's got a good shot at beating that total. He struck out all 5 outs so far today. First pitch, strike. And Sullivan just locked in, pumping in fastballs, dotting corners on the inside and outside. Coots bats from the left side, takes a big swing, and he's behind 0-2. Coots, the first baseman today, wears the sunglasses at the plate. Of course, sun's still out here at Lowell Park. You'll see as the game progresses, the shadows start to cast over the field. It's typically around 7 o'clock, 6:30 as we get to the 6th or 7th innings. Of course, no lights here at Lowell Park. Sullivan ahead 0-2, looking to make it 6 strikeouts. The 0-2 pitch, fouled away. Count will remain 0-2. Coots comes into today's game hitting .242. He's driven in 3 runs, has 2 extra base hits so far this summer. Coots calls for time. Sullivan will step off, quickly gets his foot back on the rubber, ready to deal. Another 0-2 offering. Cruz leads off of first. 0-2. Got him looking. 6 strikeouts for Sean Sullivan. Defense has not had to do anything behind him. We'll go into the bottom of the second. We're still scoreless at Lowell Park. Just 1 hit, 1 runner left on. No runs, no errors. We'll go into the bottom of the second. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Sullivan cruising on the Kettleers side of the ball. Now Nick Nastrini tries to follow suit against the middle of the Kettleer order. It's the cleanup hitter, Colton Kessler. Then the 5-hitter, Joey Loperfido, and number 6, Mason McCorder. Kessler had a pinch hit appearance in yesterday's ball game in the 9th inning as part of a last inning rally comeback that just came up short. They put up 3 runs and ultimately lost 6-4. Strikeout on the outside corner, 0-1. Kessler worked a walk in his pinch hit appearance. He's walked 3 times in his last 6 at-bats. He's behind 0-1 on Nastrini. Bats from the left side. Swings through a changeup, quickly 0-2. Kessler, one of 2 Kentucky Wildcats in the order today for the Kettleers. You'll see Cam Hill later on. He bats 7th. Nastrini way ahead out of the windup. Kicks and deals the 0-2. Chopper out to second base. Cantrell backhands it. Throws it over to first base and gets the first out of the inning. 4 up, 4 down for Nastrini. Joey Loperfido back into the lineup for the Kettleers. He also pinch hit in that 9th inning. He reached on an error. The Blue Devil bats from the left side, gets his first look at Nastrini in today's game. First pitch swing and a nice changeup, 0-1. Loperfido was responsible for the lone run against Nastrini at Falmouth. He hit a solo shot, a blast out to right center, and that was all Nick Nastrini surrendered in that entire ball game. The 0-1. Chopped foul, 0-2. Kettleers lead by just 1 point in the West Division over Falmouth. The Gatemen in first. They lead by 1 point as well. The 0-2. Reaches out and nubs one over to the first base line. A throw over to the pitcher covering Nastrini. And that's the second out of the inning.
Good hustle by Loperfido at the first base line, but just good feet, too, on the other end of it by Nastrini.
So Mason McCorder now, the batter for the Kettleers. McCorder took an 0 for yesterday, 0 for 3. But he had 3 hits in the win over Wareham, including a pair of doubles. First pitch to McCorder. Line drive back up the box, and that's a base hit, the first one of the ball game for the Kettleers.
Both pitchers are throwing a lot of strikes. That means you're going to get something to hit, and a good job by Mason McCorder to capitalize on the first pitch and send it into center for a single. Get the feeling that if this game stays a pitcher's duel, the Kettleers are going to need their signature long ball if they want to win it.
They lead the Cape League with 25 home runs. McCorder down low in his stance over there at first base. Big swing at a changeup, 0-1. So McCorder gets low at the plate, and he gets low as he takes his lead off of first. Really athletic stance in both positions. Not much of a threat to run, though, the first baseman. Doesn't have a stolen base yet this season. Cam Hill, the batter, behind 0-1. Swings through another changeup, doubled up on him, and it's 0-2. We've seen Nastrini go to that changeup against left-handed hitters. He's had some success with it. We'll see what he goes to. Way ahead, 0-2. Pick off over to first. McCorder's back easily. Nastrini comes set right at the chest, ready to deal. The 0-2 pitch. He holds, kicks, and deals. That one misses high. A good leave by Cam Hill. 92 on the gun from Nastrini, but he lays off it, and it's 1-2. Hill had a pinch hit single in that never-ending ninth inning that just came up short for the Kettleers. We saw a lot of shuffling around in that last inning that sent 7 batters to the plate. 1-2 lifted into the infield. We'll see who calls for it. Cruz is back. He's called off by his outfielder, Maisel, who makes the grab. But the Kettleers get their first hit, just 2 combined between the 2 ball clubs. Both pitchers cruising through 2. We'll go into the 3rd inning, scoreless here at Lowell Park. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
At Lowell Park, Kettleers scoreless with the Falmouth Commodores, and Falmouth's back at the plate, 8-9-1 to face off against the right-hander Sean Sullivan. Glad you're along with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Sam Niederman, Aram Layton, Josh Rothstein, and Jacob Cohen here in the production booth. Hope you're having a great week so far. It's a hot one in Cotuit, 85 degrees and sunny earlier. Our iPhone weather app said it was 91 degrees in Barnstable earlier today. I don't know where they're getting that number from, but it does kind of feel like 90. It was a steamy one throughout batting practice. A couple of clouds in the sky to help us out, but all in all, some good baseball weather on the Cape. No score in the 3rd. Sean Sullivan starts out with a fastball that's fouled back to the fence. No balls and 1 strike on Steven Moretto, who starts things off for Falmouth at the plate. A right-handed batting third baseman from Sacramento State. 9 for 50 with 6 ribbies. He looks at a curveball above the belt, 1 ball and 1 strike. Austin Maisel on deck, and Hayden Cantrell, the leadoff man, in the hole. 1-1 from Sully. Fastball, hard and outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. 6 strikeouts for Sullivan through 2 innings of work. He's been on fire, Arm.
Imagine only needing 2 innings to match your season high. He's just looked spectacular locating that fastball.
Downhill fastball, just misses at the shins, 88 miles an hour. 3 balls and 1 strike on Moretto. He's pumped it up anywhere to 94 miles an hour on the gun. The 3-1. Swing and a miss. Fastball right down the heart of the plate, and Moretto could not connect. It's a full count.
It's getting a lot of swings and misses on those fastballs. It's got to have some nice movement to it and just going right through the barrel of these Falmouth hitters.
The windup halted by our home plate umpire, Mark Piantadosi. Moretto asked for time and was granted in the right-handed batter's box. No score in the top of 3. 3-2 to Moretto. Fastball, check swing. Did he go? He did not. Held up in the nick of time. The appeal to first, a reset, and he's out.
He was 3/4 of the way to first base. We were waiting for the appeal. Colton Kessler didn't ask for it for a few moments. They finally did, and he has to just go back to the dugout. So close to a walk for Moretto, but how about another strikeout for Sean Sullivan, a summer high 7.
Chalk it up as lucky number 7 for Sean Sullivan. He gets the leadoff batter here in the 3rd. Now it's the number 9 man, Austin Maisel. 12 of 28 with a ribby so far this season. 1 ball and no strikes. No score, 1 out and nobody on. Fastball ripped into right field. That's plunked in for a base hit. Second hit of the day for Falmouth. It comes off the bat of Maisel, the number 9 batter. And the Commodores have a base runner with one away in the top of the third inning. Back to the top of the lineup with Hayden Cantrell.
It looks like Sullivan has a chance here to outdo Joe Nahas. Of course, that 9-strikeout performance was incredible just a week ago or so. But he's well on his way on pace to beating that 9 by Nahas, which is a season high for any Kettleer starter.
Be pretty remarkable. Sullivan with 7 strikeouts through 2 1/3 innings. All of his outs, punch outs so far this afternoon. The first one was against this batter, Hayden Cantrell, second baseman who bats from the left side, 0 for 1 with a strikeout looking to begin the game. First pitch, fastball outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Runner on first in Maisel, 1 out, Mason McWhorter holds on. Middle of the infield at double play depth, Casey Schmidt on the edge of the grass at third base. Sullivan ready out of the stretch, first base side of the rubber. 1-0. Fastball, nicked away foul on the left side and out of play. 1-1 on Cantrell. He's 4th in the league in batting average right now, a .351 batter. 2 for 5 last night and an 8-1 victory over Hyannis. Maisel off first. McWhorter holds on. Sullivan holds at the belt, kicks and deals. Fastball spun into left field. Robinson rounds in and is able to make the play for out number 2. Cantrell a fly out into left field. Maisel stays put at first base. 2 outs in the top of the third. Scoreless ball game, and Blake Dunn's at the plate with a runner on.
And how about that? It took an entire time through the order for someone to be retired on anything other than a strikeout.
Incredible. Took 7 outs in total for Sullivan, who's only allowed 2 hits so far. A check back to first. Maisel able to extend back in. Blake Dunn at the plate from the right side, 0 for 1 with a strikeout looking as well in the first inning. It's 0-0 in the top of 3, runner on with 2 outs. Sullivan from the stretch, bouncing ball, right side, taken by Gonzalez, and that's out number 3. Sean Sullivan, another strong inning of work. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. 3 complete scoreless for Sully, and he's got 7 strikeouts in the books. Kettleers back into plate when we come back for the bottom of the third. No score. This is Cotuit Kettleers baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Lowell Park, a little Flo Rida and Robin Thicke for you during the break. Hope you enjoyed that one. No score between the Kettleers and Falmouth. Cotuit's back at the plate with 8-9-1 in the lineup. Robinson, Oviedo, and then Gonzalez. Nick Nastrini, the right-hander, still on the hill. He's worked 2 scoreless, only allowing 1 base hit against Mason McWhorter back in the bottom of the second. Robinson, a left-handed batter, making the start in left field today out of Stanford. He's been a part of Mike Roberts' outfield platoon. 7 hits and 27 at-bats with 5 driven in. Nastrini the windup and the delivery. First pitch fastball cranked into left center field. It hangs in the air for Maisel. 1 down.
You get the feeling this ball game could end up being a battle of the bullpens with both starters looking so sharp. I think both ball clubs will be excited to see when the opposing pitcher finally comes off the mound and a new face is out there.
Sean Sullivan, the highlight for Cotuit so far. 3 scoreless innings of work, only allowing 2 hits and striking out 7. Nastrini has been pretty much just as good. He's faced 1 over the minimum. The right-hander out of UCLA pitted against Adam Oviedo in this at-bat. Number 9 batting shortstop for the Kettleers. 1 down and nobody aboard in the bottom of 3. First pitch fastball hanged into left field, and that's through for a base hit. Adam Oviedo with his 16th base hit of the season. It's the second one of the afternoon for Cotuit, and Ovi flips it back to the top of the lineup with Nick Gonzalez ready to bat. Both batters in this inning for the Kettleers swing at the first pitch. Robinson flew out to left field. Oviedo a single into left. And here's Nick Gonzalez, 0 for 1 with a fly out into left field back in the bottom of the first.
And here's a guy that swings at the first pitch quite often.
We saw him do that a lot yesterday. An 0 for 5 outing against Bourne. First pitch breaking ball, swinging it on the ground to third, and it eats up Moretto. Nick Gonzalez reaches base at first. Welcome back to the base paths, Gonzo. Oviedo up to second base. Hometown Scoring rules it as a hit.
A long time no see for Nick Gonzalez in first base. Just one day it took for him to get back on. And we talked about how it was an entire spring leading into the summer of getting on base. It's unbelievable that it finally came to an end, but you can't do anything. Nothing lasts forever.
He was able to attack that first pitch breaking ball, grounded it hard to Moretto at third, who wasn't able to field it. Scored as an infield hit. And here's Aubrey Major, the switch hitter from the left side. 2 on with 1 out, no score in the bottom of 3. Major shows bunt and pulls back on a slider in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes. Aubrey 0 for 1. He struck out swinging back in the first inning. 4 pitches in this inning, 2 base runners already for Cotuit. Gonzalez off first, Oviedo off second. Nobody holds on for Falmouth. Double play depth on the infield. Nastrini from the stretch. 1-0 fastball, split away off the end of the bat, foul into the parking lot.
I figured that bunt was a bluff because one out already. Aubrey swinging one of the better bats in your lineup right now. Sacrifice doesn't do any good.
Major has a hit in 12 of his 13 appearances this summer. He went 2 for 3 yesterday against Bourne. 2 on with 1 out, no score, bottom 3. Nastrini a long hold and a 1-1 breaking ball. Gets behind the catcher and back to the backstop. Both base runners go into scoring position. Troy Clonch unable to spear it out of the thin air upstairs. There's a slider that hung way up at the neck level or so, and Clonch had it go off the end of his mitt. Kettleers now have runners on second and third with 1 out for Major, who's ahead in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike.
That pitch made Major's at-bat 10 times easier now. All he has to do with the infield back for now is hit something up the middle or find something he can lift into the outfield. And we talked about winning 1-1 counts. That high curveball now gave him an advantage in this count, 2-1.
No score in the bottom of 3. Kettleers with a chance to jump into the lead. Second and third with 1 out, and Major calls for time. Falmouth resets 3 of their 4 infielders back. Moretto still plays in a couple steps, even in the baseline at third base. Nastrini closed from the stretch, 2-1. Fastball tapped in front of the mound. It goes to second, scooped up by Cantrell on the run. Out number 2. Aubrey Major, an RBI ground out to score Adam Oviedo. He bounced it to second. And then Gonzalez moved up to third. The Kettleers take the lead 1-0 in the bottom of the third.
And that's all Aubrey had to do with the infield back. You understand why Jeff Trundy wanted his infield back. 2 runners on. You want to take away that single with the speed of Nick Gonzalez. A base hit would score 2. You concede the run on a dribbler. And a good job by Aubrey to do his job there. And now the Kettleers have a lead in a pitcher's duel.
1-0 Cotuit on the strength of Major's RBI ground out. Runner on third with 2 outs, and here's Casey Schmidt. Nastrini starts him off with a breaking ball that catches the bottom part of the zone. Strike 1. Schmidt 0 for 1 today, popped out to second base in the first. A 5-game hitting streak for the third baseman out of San Diego State. 1 for 4 yesterday against Bourne, a .247 batter on the year overall. 0-1. Fastball up and in, and it hits the batter. Nastrini misses badly, and Schmidt takes one for the team. He's a hit batsman to keep this inning going. Runners on the corners with 2 outs.
And that can't feel good. It hit just above the elbow guard there, 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Fortunately, it didn't hit him direct. It kind of glanced off of his arm, but you saw him take a deep breath. Casey Schmidt was in a little bit of pain there. It's a stinger.
He's a tough cookie, though. Probably, I'd say, one of the tougher dudes on this Kettleers squad.
We saw him headfirst dive after a ball over in the stone dust at Wareham, and that is a lot more difficult than it looks. It hurts a lot more than most would think. It feels like you're diving on concrete from what a lot of the players have said.
That's like some street wiffle ball or something like that out in Wareham. Colton Kessler takes a first pitch fastball for a strike. I don't think much gets to Schmidt. Nothing really can shake him. He's a hit batsman on first. Gonzalez stays on third with 2 outs in the bottom of the third inning. It's 1-0 Cotuit. Aubrey Major an RBI ground out to second. Kessler from the left side 0 for 1 with a ground out. Nestrini's 0-1. Fastball high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Kess back in the lineup as a starting catcher for the first time in a couple of weeks. Battled a knee bruise at the end of June. Got back into the lineup on Sunday at Bourne as a designated hitter. Schmidt held on by Coots at first. Nobody holding Gonzo at third. Nastrini misses with a breaking ball at the ankles. It's 2-1. Kettleers have an early lead in the bottom of the third inning, 1-0. First trouble that Nick Nastrini has run into against Cotuit this summer. Mentioned in the open that the righty tossed 5 innings of 1-run ball back last Wednesday at Falmouth against the Kettleers. 2-1. Wave and a miss on a curveball down and out. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Kessler.
Great pitch there to erase the hitter's count. Confident Nastrini is with his off speed, and that's what makes a pitcher like him so tough. You want to sit fastball 2-1, but you can't against a guy like Nastrini.
First and third for Cotuit in the bottom of the third, trying to add more, up 1-0. 2-2 to Kessler. Runner going in Schmidt. A fastball called for a strike on the outside corner. Does not matter. Colton Kessler strikes out looking, but the Kettleers get on the board first. Aubrey Major. An RBI ground out to second base to plate Adam Oviedo. 1 run for the Kettleers on 2 hits. No errors, and a couple of men left on base. We'll be right back with the top of the 4th on the other side of this break. Cotuit 1 and Falmouth 0 on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Fourth inning at Lowell Park, and the Kettleers are on top of the Falmouth Commodores 1-0. Falmouth back at the plate in this inning. 3, 4, and 5 due up against the righty and Sean Sullivan. Deloach, Cruz, and then Claunch. Glad you're with us on a Wednesday afternoon from the village of Cotuit. Sam Niederman and Arm Layton. Good crowd at the ballpark once again. Kettleers only have 8 more home games after this one. Can you believe that?
That is hard to believe. This has flown by. That's unbelievable. You just ruined my day.
I know, I'm sorry, man.
I love it here.
Looked like a deer in headlights when I just said that. Like I ran over a puppy dog or something.
Harsh reality right there.
It's July 10th. This is game number 26 for the Kettleers. Game number 23 for Falmouth. 1-0 Cotuit in the top of the 4th. Zach Deloach, the left-handed batting right fielder at the plate, and he waves and misses at a curveball outside. No balls and 1 strike. Sullivan gets ahead. He struck out Deloach back at the bottom of the 1st swinging. Casey Schmidt plays in on the edge of the grass at third. Fastball lined down into right center field. Nick Gonzalez swats at it, was almost able to run it down, but instead it goes in for a base hit.
That's just one of those hits when you're hot, and they fall for you. A fastball in on the hands. He just muscles it out there, and Gonzalez just not able to reach out and grab it. Maybe about 15 feet beyond second base, but it just didn't hang up there long enough.
Good effort by Gonzo. You're absolutely right on Deloach in the hot streak, Aram. The league batting average leader is now up to a 5-game hitting streak. It's a leadoff single for him in the top of the 4th. 1-0 Kettleers, and Sullivan throws over to check on the runner. Trey Cruz, the next batter. 1 for 1 with a single back in the second. He stands in from the left side. Schmidt still plays in by a step at third. Middle infielders shaded towards the bag. Cruz a swat and a foul ball popped up on the right side. No room to make a play for anybody. Just strike one. Third base grandstand buzzing. It's 50-50 raffle time. Here come the kettles, as they like to say, at Lowell Park. Interns and a couple of players going around with these plastic kettle pots to collect the 50-50 tally.
It's always a pretty good pot here at Lowell Park. A lot of people like to gamble and play and take their chances.
Trey Cruz, a roping ball into right field. That's a base hit. Deloach is able to speed around second and go first to third on that single. And Falmouth is beginning to wake up against Sean Sullivan. Back-to-back base hits to put the doors with runners on the corners and nobody out in the top of the 4th.
That's the first time we've really seen Aubrey Major show off the arm. It looked like Conch was just going to coast into third. He ends up throwing an absolute missile to third base, a one-hopper from deep in right field. And what can't Aubrey Major do? He's got all the tools out there.
It was a pretty close play at third base, but Deloach had a really good jump on that. A good poke by the batter and Cruz with McWhorter holding on the runner. There was a little more space for him on the right side of the infield. 1-0 Cotuit in the top of the 4th. Nobody out. Runners on first and third for Falmouth. And here's Troy Clonch. Catcher out of Oregon State bats from the right side, 0 for 1 with a strikeout swinging. Sullivan out of the stretch. A throw back to McWhorter at first. Talking about that 50-50 raffle, I was catching up with Terry Moran and Wareham on Monday night, and we were reminiscing on the Kettleers 2010 and 2013 championships under Mike Roberts, and the 50-50s at those games are astronomical. Wave and a miss on a changeup, strike one, and it looks like Colton Kessler's shaking up a little bit behind home plate off a ricochet from that last swing. Hopefully he's okay. Mark Piantadosi gives him the courtesy by walking out to the mound with Sean Sullivan. Looks like Kess is all right back there. He's looked pretty good in his return behind the plate so far defensively.
He looks healthy back there. He looks 100%. We saw him moving pretty well around the bases over at Wareham. He had to stretch a first to third single, but he looks good behind the dish. You just hope that one didn't get him too hard in the head.
Falmouth, a good start in the top of the 4th. Deloach, a leadoff single. Cruz, a single that made it first and third with nobody out. 1-0 Kettleers. No balls in one strike on Troy Clonch. Sullivan from the belt. Fastball on the outside corner for a strike.
This would be a good time for strikeout number 8 for Sullivan. No outs here. Of course, the runner on third base, anything in play, a good chance it scores a run and ties this game up.
Middle infielders pinch in towards second. A little more for Gonzalez. Schmidt in by a step at third. 0-2. Fastball, knocked back foul. Clonch stays alive. Falmouth in the road. Blacks on gray pants, trimmed in maroon tonight. Cotuit in their home white pinstripes, trimmed in maroon with the Kettleers across the chest. Same maroon caps with the silver C on the front. 0-2 again. Fastball swatted into straightaway center. Hill goes back and makes the play for out number 1. Deloach tags from third and comes home to score, and Falmouth ties things up at the top of the 4th inning. An RBI sacrifice fly by Troy Clonch.
Good job there by Clonch to get something elevated. Make sure he got the barrel on it with 2 strikes and did his job. All he needed out there was to get it to straightaway center field, and it would be deep enough to score the run, and that's exactly what he did.
Cruz remains on first base. One out in the top of 4. 1-1 ball game now, and Taylor Smith, the DH, climbs back in from the right side. Smith 0 for 1 with a strikeout against Sullivan back in the second. Double play depth for the Kettleers middle of the infield. First pitch. Looping curveball outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Both teams have manufactured a run in this contest. Kettleers got on top in the bottom of the third thanks to Major's RBI groundout. Falmouth has tied it in the fourth thanks to the sacrifice fly by Claunch. 1-0. Changeup just misses low and in. 2 balls and no strikes.
Good spot for that changeup by Soley. He was trying to get that ground ball. He's going to keep working low to try and get that double play ball.
Sullivan just a freshman, or just about to enter his sophomore season at Cal. 2-0. Fastball, ticked back foul, 2-1.
You know, Coach Roberts talks about maturity a lot. He looks really poised out there. You'd never know he's just coming off of his freshman season.
He pitched just 26 innings for the Bears, went 2-1 with a 5.88 earned run average. Hard to believe that he is just a sophomore. 6'1", 165, a native of Woodland Hills. Runner on first with 1 out, 2-1. Smith takes, fastball outside, 3 balls and a strike. Cali versus Texas here. Smith, a JUCO player from Grayson County Community College, a native of Georgetown, Texas, at the plate. 1-1 ball game in the fourth. And a spin over to first. Cruz dives back in. 1 run on 4 hits for Falmouth. 1 run on 3 hits for the Kettleers. Both starters pretty sharp early on. Nick Nastrini has worked 3 innings of 1-run ball for Falmouth. 3-1 ripped into left field. That's up the line, hooking foul. Full count.
Cruz can move out there, full count. He's got 4 swipes already this year. It's a good opportunity to run if you're Falmouth. We'll see if he ends up getting in motion here, trying to take away that double play.
Cruz a lengthy frame as well at 6'2". He shuffles a couple of times off first, held on by McWhorter. 3-2. Fastball, golf down to left. Robinson charges in and makes the catch bending down for out number 2. Cruz stays put at first base. Sullivan gets Smith to fly out into left. 2 outs in the top of the fourth, and Jackson Coots, the first baseman, returns to the plate from the left side. It's 1-1. Falmouth tied it up in this inning. Troy Claunch, an RBI sac fly to center. Back-to-back singles before that RBI sac fly. Smith just flew out, and here's Coots from the left side, 0 for 1 with a strikeout looking. Falmouth has had the Kettleers number going back to last summer as well. The Commodores have won 6 of the last 8 meetings over Cotuit. The Kettleers just have 1 win and 1 tie in that time span. Cruz running, a pick over to first. McWhorter relay down to second. He nails the runner in Cruz, and it ricochets off him, scooped up by Adam Oviedo. Cruz calls for time. He's awarded second base safely. Sean Sullivan read it. Cruz a super early jump, but he's able to pick up the steal to get into scoring position with 2 outs.
And that's the hardest part if you have to try and throw someone out that's picked off at first base, is finding that throwing lane. McWhorter did a good job of getting the ball out of his glove quickly, but he rushed it a little bit. He might have been better off taking a second. I think he had the time. Make sure he had a clear throwing lane like you'll see Cody Pasek do a lot behind the dish. On a drops third strike, obviously Pasek would have a little bit more time, but a little bit rushed there from McWhorter, and that's why you see him hit him right in the center of the back there.
McWhorter reacted quickly and whipped it over to Adam Oviedo, who covered at second, but the ball basically smacked Cruz square in the back. A good job by Oviedo to handle the ricochet. It's not like Cruz would have been motoring on into third on the first place, but he was able to keep the ball in the infield. So mark it as a stolen base for Trey Cruz, his 5th of the season. Falmouth a runner in scoring position, 2 outs in the top of the fourth. Jackson Coots still at the plate, yet to see a pitch. 1-1 ball game. Sullivan ready at the belt. Oviedo shades the runner at short. A leg lift and a twist back. We caught up with Coach Roberts yesterday, and one of the frequent things that the Kettleers pitching staff has done is pick over to second base with a runner on. His reasoning for that technique is to try and develop these guys as pitchers throwing the ball in non-pitching situations, especially when handling the run game. A first pitch fastball sinks low at the shins, 1 ball and no strikes on Coots. It's basically to stop the John Lester kind of trend that you see in the major leagues in terms of trying to hold on runners and throw over to cover.
A lot of pitchers get the yips when they handle the ball anywhere else when their foot's not on the rubber. And it's a weird mental thing, but that's really what it is. It's all in the head.
Fastball fouled back into the parking lot. 1 ball and 1 strike on Coots. Have not seen a move yet from Sullivan with the runner on and Cruz at second in this little at-bat. First runner past scoring position for Falmouth other than Deloach, who came home and scored in this inning. He was on third. Another leg lift and a spin back by Sullivan, but no throw. Adam Oviedo right behind Cruz at short. Nick Gonzalez plays normally at second base. Everybody else back on the infield, straight up in the outfield. 1-1 game in the fourth, 2 outs and a runner on second. Sullivan set for the 1-1. Looks back at second, now to the plate. Fastball lifted, foul ground, left side, and that's out of play for strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Jackson Coots, left-handed batting first baseman from Rhodey, University of Rhode Island, a native of Orono, Maine. His second summer on the Cape, played a little bit late last season with the league champion Wareham Gateman. Sullivan looks back at Cruz, 1-2. Fastball popped up, left side of the infield, drifting into foul ground. Schmidt in the shadows. He bags it for out number 3. Sean Sullivan works out of this fourth inning after surrendering a run. An RBI sac fly by Troy Klontz ties the game for Falmouth. 1 run on a couple of hits, no errors, and 1 man left in scoring position. And it's the Kettleers back at the plate when we return. 1-1 ball game in the bottom of the fourth on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Welcome back to Cotuit. Bottom of the fourth inning, 1-1 ball game, and the Kettleers at the plate. Joey Loperfido leads things off, followed by Mason McWhorter and then Cam Hill. 5, 6, and 7 against the right-hander Nick Nastrini. Loperfido 0 for 1 today with a ground out to first base. Left-handed batting DH today from Duke.
If I'm Joey Loperfido, I'm sitting on a changeup here. Nastrini shows that he likes to go to it against the left-handed hitters.
First pitch, curveball in the dirt, a swing and a miss. No balls and 1 strike on Loperfido. He got a hold of a fastball for the solo home run against Nastrini in their first matchup last Wednesday at Falmouth. That was the only run of the game for the Kettleers. 0-1. Changeup, high and away, just outside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Nastrini really doesn't like to go to that fastball against the left-handed hitters, and you can understand that after you saw what Loperfido did last ball game.
The righty winds up, delivers a fastball outside, 91 miles an hour. A hitter's count now for Loperfido, 2-1. Couple of Cali kids going at it on the mound. Nastrini, representing UCLA, a native of San Diego, just a sophomore too. 2-1, golfed out into right field, and Joey Loperfido picks up a base hit in on an off-speed pitch.
Good adjustment there by Loperfido. Like you said, Sam, he picks it up on the off-speed pitch. He took a swing through the first one to lead the at-bat off, made an adjustment, sat back on that one, and was just able to get enough of it to get it out into right field.
The Kettleers only mustered up a couple of hits against Nastrini the last meeting. Joey Loperfido's got another one. A leadoff single into right field. And he's on first, held on by Coots. Mason McWhorter back at the plate. 1-1 game in the bottom of the fourth. First pitch, Bender, just too high. 1 ball and no strikes. McWhorter a base hit up the middle in the second. He was stranded on first. Nastrini, 3+ innings of 1-run ball, only allowing 4 hits so far. Sean Sullivan, his counterpart, 4 innings of 1-run ball, striking out 7. 1-0, tailed in the air, deep left center field. McWhorter a drive at the fence, and it bounces down for a double. Loperfido wheeling around third base. Mason McWhorter gives the Kettleers a lead back with a double here in the bottom of the fourth.
McWhorter has looked great after coming back from those flu-like symptoms. He's just been mashing the ball the other way, really doing a good job of taking what's pitched to him, letting it get deep and driving it opposite field, and that's a sign of a hitter that's locked in.
This is a guy in McWhorter who drove in over 60 with Georgia Southern this past spring in a terrific junior year. That's his 6th run driven in. Of course, he had the big 3 RBI night at Wareham on Monday. Another double for him here. His 3rd on the year. An opposite field slash to plate Loperfido from first, and it's 2-1 Kettleers in the bottom of the fourth. Cam Hill at the plate, and he goes around on a bunt for strike 1. McWhorter on second base, nobody out. It's the bottom of the fourth, and Cam Hill's at the plate from the left side, 0 for 1 with a fly out into left field.
We know Coach Roberts likes to bunt a lot with Cam Hill. He has confidence in his ability to handle the bat. But the left-hander just has to pull a ground ball to the right side. We saw Aubrey Major do it successfully with a man on third. This time just has to do it to the right side. Doesn't even matter if the infield's in. We'll see if he lets him swing away.
A quick meeting between Coach and Cam Hill up the third baseline. Nick Nastrini working with Troy Clonch, a fellow Pac-12 mate out of Oregon State, behind the plate. Coots in by a step at first. Moretto in by a step at third. McWhorter a short lead at second base. Nobody out, and the Kettleers up 2-1 in the bottom of the fourth. Nastrini holds. No balls and a strike. Hill shows bunt and takes a curveball that gets behind the catcher and Clonch, and McWhorter speeds into third base.
You got to be happy for Cam Hill now. Of course, you're happy to give yourself up and bunt, but now with that pass ball, he's able to swing away and an RBI chance with nobody out. I'm sure the infield will be drawn in for Falmouth, and a good opportunity to see what Cam Hill can do in an RBI situation.
Runner on third now for Cotuit, already leading 2-1 in the home half of the fourth. Nobody out in this inning, and Falmouth brings the infield to the edge of the grass. 2-by-2 on either side. Everybody plays straight up. 1 ball and 1 strike on Hill from the left side. Nastrini closed off from the stretch. Kicks and deals. Wave and a miss at a changeup down and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cam Hill has handled the bat pretty well in these situations. Has drove in a variety of runs so far this year with ground balls or fly balls. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Got him again with a changeup. Nastrini pulls the string and gets a much-needed strikeout for out number 1 in the fourth. 1 away. Runner on third still in McWhorter. Looks like Falmouth will keep the infield on the grass. And Christian Robinson's back at the plate, 0 for 1 with a flyout.
Well, if you're Christian Robinson, you have to be taking notes on how Nastrini's handled the past 2 left-handed hitters, especially with the runner on third. He's going to try and get you to chase that changeup down. You got to see it pitch up, make him bring it up.
Infield still in. First pitch, changeup. Got him swinging. Strike 1. Good call. 2-1 Kettleers. Mason McWhorter puts Cotuit back in front in this inning with an RBI double to plate Loperfido. McWhorter on third base with 1 out. Left side of the infield plays in for Falmouth. Cantrell back by a couple of steps at second, but still playing in a little bit. 0-1. Robinson bunts right in front of the pitcher. McWhorter held up halfway between third and home. He stays put. Robinson retired at first, 1-3 for out number 2.
We've seen the safety squeeze a few times this year, but this early in the ball game, it's only the 4th inning. You're looking to add to a lead. You just need a ball in play in the outfield, and Robinson has some good bat-to-ball skills. I think I would have let him swing away there, but we've seen the bunt work and the safety squeeze work in certain situations, and Coach Roberts likes to go to it.
Nothing comes of it there, though. McWhorter stays put at third base. 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. 2-1 Cotuit. Adam Oviedo returns to the plate. First pitch, changeup on the outside corner from Destrini. 0-1. Oviedo, a 1-out single back in the 3rd. He came around and scored on the RBI ground out from Aubrey Major. Falmouth resets the infield back. Outfield plays straight up. Blake Dunn shaded a tick towards the left center gap in center field. 0-1. Changeup again. Check swing does not matter. It's called for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes on Ovi. Little bit of activity in the Kettleer pen right now. Richard Brereton and Chris Holcomb with some very light pitch and catch going on. Sean Sullivan, 4 innings of 1-run ball so far, only allowing 4 hits and striking out 7. 2-strike fastball, dips down and away. 1-2 on Oviedo. Falmouth coming around the bend in the Western Division. The Commodores are 12-9-1, just a game out of first place and a half game back of Cotuit for second. Kettleers entered today's game at a 12-11-2 mark. 1-2 changeup, hammered into left. Mazel's got a beat on it, and he plays it for out number 3. Kettleers take the lead, though. Mason McWhorter with an RBI double to score Joey Loperfido. 1 run on a couple of hits, no errors, and 1 man left on third base. And we have played 4 complete at Lowell Park. The Kettleers lead Falmouth again, 2-1. Arms back on the play-by-play when we come back. This is Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
For Sean Sullivan, it's 8-9-1. In this Falmouth order, it's Steven Moretto, Austin Mazel, and Hayden Cantrell. Moretto 0 for 1, one of the 7 strikeout victims at the expense of Sean Sullivan. The first pitch. Curveball just tails out of the strike zone, 1-0. Moretto bats from the right side. The 0-1. Or 1-0 rather, misses away. It's 2-0. Moretto from Sacramento State, a junior. Takes that 2-0 pitch down. It's quickly 3-0. Can hit for power, but struggled to reach base in this spring. He hit .216, 9 home runs, 11 doubles, but 74 strikeouts. That one is a strike. It's 3-1. 74 strikeouts as opposed to 24 walks in 65 games. (3-1) misses away, ball 4. So Sean Sullivan loses the 8-hitter and the leadoff batter for this 5th inning, and it's Austin Maisel. Maisel, the left-handed hitter from Holy Cross, not too far away from here in the Cape. And Colton Kessler will go talk to his pitcher, and Sean Sullivan go over some signs. Maisel, the 9-hitter, singled in the 3rd inning. Maisel comes into this game swinging a really hot bat. .429 in limited action this season. That's 12 for 28 in 13 ball games. He's only struck out 1 time in those 28 at-bats. And Coach Roberts will come out now and go talk to his pitcher, Sean Sullivan. We'll see if that's the end of the line or if we'll stick with them in this 5th inning. Of course, he lost the runner on first base and Steven Moretto on 5 pitches. And the top of the order looms, and it'll be their 3rd time around seeing Sean Sullivan. No indication yet from Coach Roberts. There is some action over there in the Kettleer bullpen. It looks like it's Matt Mervis warming up. Coach Roberts always likes to go talk to his pitcher before he decides what he's going to do or whether he's going to bring in an arm. It's 2-1 in favor of Cotuit. Of course, they added a run in the bottom of the 4th inning, and that's how they were able to take the lead. And they are going to go to the bullpen. It's going to be Bo Hofstra. He's going to make a relief appearance here with nobody out, 1 runner on in the 5th. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. On, that means Sean Sullivan is out. A good outing there for Sullivan. He went 4+ innings, surrendered 4 hits, just 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts and 1 walk. He is responsible for Moretto on first base, so his book is not completely closed. As for Hofstra, he makes his 7th appearance for the Kettleers. He's 2-1 with a 4.65 ERA. He struck out 11 in 9 2/3 innings pitched. He started really hot this summer. He's been touched up for 4 runs in his last 5 1/3 innings. Trying to bounce back here against the 9-hitter Austin Maisel. And then the top of this Falmouth order. Casey Schmidt plays on the grass at third. Rest of the infield plays straight up. Hofstra out of the stretch, the first pitch. Fastball, strike one, 90 on the gun from Hofstra. The righty stands at 6'5", 240 pounds. The big boy's just a sophomore, one of the younger players on this Kettleer ball club. Comes set at the belt, takes a long look. The 0-1. Pulled a chopper foul, and it's 0-2. Nice change up there from Bo Hofstra.
Interesting that we get to see Bo now in the middle innings, but I like the transition for him. He started to lose a little bit of control in the later innings in his last couple of outings. And he has a key responsibility here against the number 9 batter in Maisel, because that top of the order lurks on deck.
0-2 to Maisel. Fastball just misses off the plate. Kessler tried to bring it back on the outer half. As you said, Sam, he did lose control a little bit in the loss against Chatham. He walked 3 in just 3 1/3. That was on July 6th. That's the last time he threw 4 days ago. The 1-2 to Maisel. Fastball inside corner, got him looking. And Bo Hofstra strikes out the first batter he faces, 1 away. Moretto still on first base.
Bo lit it up at 96 miles an hour on that last pitch. What a hard pitch to hit inside against that batter.
So Hofstra lights up the gun in the first batter he faces. That might be the hardest ball we've seen him throw all summer. And now he gets the top of the order. His first look at Hayden Cantrell. Fastball misses down, 1-0. Cantrell is 0 for 2. He came into this game swinging a hot bat. Cantrell was hitting .360 coming into this game in his last 10 ball games. .364, 12 for 33. They've been able to hold him to 0 for 2 so far. The switch hitter bats from the left side. Hofstra quickly comes set at the belt. Takes a look over at first. Runner's on the move. The throw from Kessler is not in time. Diving right ahead of the throw is Moretto. He swipes second.
Good throw by Kessler, just a little behind it. Really did about all that he could. It was a good jump, though, by the runner and Moretto. But a well-timed throw, well-placed throw, just did not have that first step on him, though.
We talked about Kessler being a big key today. Of course, the Commodores lead the Cape League in stolen bases. They're able to swipe one there and get a runner in scoring position for the top of the order. Cantrell ahead 2-0 on the big righty Bo Hofstra. Inside move to second base, nothing doing. And tall pitchers such as Hofstra tend to be a little bit slower to home plate. You mentioned the good jump by Moretto. Kessler did everything he could to make that one close. Cantrell is good with runners in scoring position, hitting .412 this season. Finally a strike from Hofstra, 93 on the gun, it's 2-1. 11 runs driven in and 17 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Cantrell has just been efficient at the top of this Commodore order. So he's looking to make it 12 runs driven in. He's ahead 2-1, and we have time called by the home plate umpire, Mike Piantadosi. Cantrell gets back into the box, takes a long look over at Hofstra. The 2-1. Fastball just misses in, and it's 3-1. Hofstra trying to locate that fastball in on the left-handed hitters. He was able to do it against Maisel. Got him looking strike 3 for the first out of this inning. Moretto on second base, he walked. He represents the tying run. Hayden Cantrell, the guy trying to plate him. It's 3-1. 3-1 pitch. Got him on a fastball, 3-2. Blake Dunn on deck, he's also 0 for 2. And Zach Deloche in the hole. Long look from Hofstra, who has the ball in his glove. He comes set with his hand. Now has his hand in his glove ready to take it out. The 3-2. just nicked that fastball, did Cantrell. Will do 3-2 again.
Just had to catch up to it 94 miles an hour from Bo Hofstra. He's looking pretty sharp here. Falmouth batters have taken him deep into counts, but rather have that life on the fastball and a lot more life around the strike zone too.
Hofstra from Purdue. Cantrell from Louisiana Lafayette. We'll do another payoff pitch here as Hofstra comes set. Oviedo gets off second base. The 3-2 just misses away. Ball 4 to Cantrell.
Close. Good idea. Probably the right call, though, behind home plate by Mark Piantadosi. A good location from Hofstra, hoping that he could get Cantrell to go after that outside pitch, but a patient batter at the top of the Falmouth order did not bite. Now it's first and second with one away.
Piantadosi has been calling that fastball just off the black on the outer half, but Hofstra was not able to get the call there. So 2 runners aboard, 1 away for Blake Dunn. First pitch curveball crowds him inside, 1-0. Dunn 0 for 2. He struck out in the first, grounded out in the third. This is a guy that Hofstra wants. Zach Deloche waits on deck. Hofstra behind 1-0, checks on second base. No one holding him on. The 1-0 pitch. That's lined out into center field. Coming in is Cam Hill. He makes the shoestring catch. And that's the second out of the inning. A big out there for Bo Hofstra with 2 aboard. But he's not out of the woods yet. Zach Deloche, the Cape's leading hitter, one of the hottest hitters in the entire league, comes up to the plate with 2 runners aboard.
Hill was well positioned to field that ball arm. He was playing in by a couple of steps, and that allowed him to cut down on time getting into the gap on a sinking fly ball from Dunn. That's a big catch for the Kettleers to make out number 2.
And Cam Hill's been good all season long out there in center. Gets really good jumps on the ball. Able to pick up a big out there. 2 away, 2 on for Deloche. He singled and scored the only run for Falmouth in this ball game in the 4th. First pitch doesn't quite come back into the strike zone. Hofstra tried to backdoor him there, and it's 1-0. Of course, Deloche 18 for his last 37, now including today. 19 for his last 39. The 1-0. Check swing, but it's a called strike, 1-1. Deloche didn't like it. It was up at the letters, and we're evened up. Moretto on second, he walked. Cantrell on first. He also received a free pass. Hofstra walked Cantrell. Sullivan walked Moretto, and that's what ended his ball game. The 1-1. Grounder foul down the first base line, 1-2. Hofstra trying to keep Sean Sullivan's line at just 1 earned run. Trying to strand the 2 base runners 2 away and preserve this Kettleer lead. It's 2-1 in the top of the 5th in favor of the Kettleers. A big ball game today in an iron-packed West Division that has Wareham in first place with 27 points. Cotuit right behind with 26. And not far behind is the Commodores with 25. Hofstra 1 pitch away from ending the 5th. Deloche trying to plate a run and tie this up. He fouls it away, and it's 1-2. So count remains unchanged. Trey Cruz, the batter on deck. Cruz is 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. Deloche, of course, had 2 home runs in yesterday's win over Hyannis, an 8-1 thrashing. He drove in 3 runs in that ball game. Trying to drive in one here. It's 1-2. Hofstra comes set, takes a look at second in the pitch. Another ball spoiled away. Count stays at 1-2. Deloche rocking the stirrups to go with the black and maroon uniforms. Maroon, white, and blue with the stirrups. A nice little look. Trey Cruz is rocking the same look on deck. Hofstra comes set ready for the third 1-2 offering. Deloche battling the pitch. Another foul ball. This time he pulls it. We'll do 1-2 one more time. Power versus power here. Deloche, the 3-hitter, versus the 6'5" righty Bo Hofstra, who's already touched 96 in this inning. Tying run on second, go ahead on first. Hofstra comes set, the 1-2. Check swing, did he foul tip it? No, he did not. The throw over to first base will be the third out of the inning. Hofstra gets Deloche swinging there. And he's able to dance out of that jam. We'll go into the bottom of the fifth. Hofstra's able to preserve the Kettleers lead. It's 2-1. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Top of the order for Cotuit, looking for some insurance in the fifth inning against Nick Nastrini. Nick Gonzalez gets his third look at the right-hander. Gonzalez singled in the third inning. Nastrini out of the windup, kicks and deals. First pitch changeup misses down, 1-0. Gonzalez able to reach base after his first game of the summer, going 0 for 5, ended his 24 on base streak. Now starting a new one, he's at 1, Sam.
Got to start somewhere. The unfortunate thing is there aren't enough games left in the regular season for him to top that 24 games. Hopefully he could just keep it rolling into the playoffs.
Another changeup. This time he swings through it. It's 1-1. Of course, he had 56 consecutive games reaching base this spring.
What's so crazy about the Gonzalez 24 game on base streak to open up the summer, Duke Ellis last summer actually had one longer.
Ground ball over to third base, scooped up by Moretto. He throws it over to first and just gets Nick Gonzalez by about a half a step. Gonzalez was busting it down the line there.
He always does hustle, which is really good to see. But a good play by Moretto to just make the throw in the nick of time. Anyway, though, Duke Ellis, 25 consecutive games reaching base successfully last summer. That all happened at the end of the regular season. He got on base in his first game, then didn't get on base in his second game, but then in every single one of his starts from there on out, he reached base successfully.
Well, Duke Ellis can run if he's good at one thing. He's speedy. Ground ball over to first base. Flipped over to the pitcher, covering Nastrini for out number 2.
See, this is the thing about Nastrini, too, is he gets into these quick little 2-out innings where he gets the first couple of outs on less than 4 pitches. He's done that here in the bottom of the fifth, and make no mistake about it, his team might be trailing Cotuit, but Nastrini has tossed another good ball game, just allowing 2 runs on 5 hits.
And Nastrini's done a good job of pitching to contact, like you said, Sam, getting quick outs, and that's a big reason why he's still out there in the fifth. There's a good shot he could be out there for the 6th.
Absolutely.
So Casey Schmidt bats from the right side. His third look at Nastrini. He swings at a first pitch changeup. 0-1. Nastrini keeps going to that changeup early in the count, showing a good feel for it.
That's the other thing about Falmouth and their success. We've talked so much about how their bats have gotten hot, but their pitching has been solid too. Team ERA just under 4.
The 0-1. Curveball doesn't quite come back. It's 1-1. And now Nastrini's pitched 9 2/3 innings against the Kettleers. He's just surrendered 3 runs. And he could keep going. Kettleers able to scratch for runs against the right-hander, but just no consistent hitting. 1-1. That's lined out into left field, and a base hit from Casey Schmidt. His first of the ball game. Second time he reaches base. He takes a big turnaround first and retreats back to the bag. 5th inning still going now, and it's Cotuit Kettleers who will get a shot.
If I'm a Western Division rival of the Kettleers, maybe say Wareham, and I'm scouting this game, and I'm looking at Casey Schmidt, I'm saying don't give this guy a hanging breaking ball. He loves a hanging breaking ball, and every time he jumps on it and pulls it into left field, usually for a base hit, sometimes for a home run, and he does a good job to keep the inning going with a single there.
He's tied for the team lead with 4 home runs, and as you mentioned, Sam, 2 of them he's poked out here on hanging curveballs. No doubters out to left field. First pitch to Cotuit Kettleers, a fastball at the letters, strike 1. Nastrini still pumping 93 here with 2 outs in the 5th inning.
And Nastrini's been strong. Samuel Strickland out of Stamford, who just got released yesterday after a strong 6-inning night against Hyannis. They've really keyed this rotation for the Doors.
0-1. That one misses low. It's even. And Nastrini just at 61 pitches. About to have 5 innings under his belt. 43 strikes as opposed to 18 balls. He's been all around the strike zone. And speaking of, he dots a changeup on the outer half. It's 1-2. I think the word to describe Nastrini tonight in the last 2 outings against the Kettleers would just be efficient.
Oh, yeah. In and around the strike zone, it's all right if you give up a few hits. You've got your defense back there for the majority of those.
Kessler behind 1-2. The fastball just misses away. 2-2. He's given up a handful of hits, but only 1 extra base hit. When we talk about it, the Kettleers are 10-0-1 when they have at least 3 extra base hits or more. Just 1 so far today. Cotuit Kettleers looking for more. Casey Schmidt on first. He singled. The count's even at 2-2. The pitch. It's lifted out into center field. Dunn coming in. So is Deloche. Dunn calls for it and makes the catch as they intersect. That's the 3rd out of the inning. Casey Schmidt is stranded at first base with a single. So 1 hit, no runs, no errors. 1 left on in the 5th. We'll go into the 6th inning. My partner Sam Niederman will take over. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Back in Cotuit, Kettleers up 2-1, top of the 6th inning. Falmouth at the plate. Bo Hofstra against the middle part of the order. Trey Cruz, then Troy Claunch, and Taylor Smith. 4, 5, and 6. Kettleers ahead on the strength of the RBI double from Mason McWhorter. That came back in the 4th. Hofstra's on for his first full inning of relief work. He worked 3 outs in the 5th, relieving Sean Sullivan after a leadoff walk. He winds up and deals in a fastball at the ankles of Cruz. Ball 1. Cruz 2 for 2. Couple of singles. Last one coming back in the 4th. He was stranded on Stecken after a steal. Bo's 1-0. Another fastball in the dirt at 90 miles an hour. 2 balls and no strikes. Cruz, the shortstop out of Rice. Left-handed batter choking up just slightly on his Blackwood bat. 2-0. Bounced up to second. Backhand pick by Gonzalez. 1 away. Hofstra gets a leadoff man on 3 pitches. 1 out with the bases empty, and Troy Claunch at the plate. Kettleers on top 2-1 in the top of the 6th inning. Claunch 0 for 1 today. Strikeout back in the 2nd. Drove in the only run of the game for Falmouth back in the 4th with an RBI sacrifice fly to center. Right-handed batting catcher out of Oregon State climbs in. Hofstra the windup. First pitch slider, tailed away foul on the right side. No balls and 1 strike. Claunch the high socks today. Maroon socks on the gray pants. Road blacks for Falmouth. Kettleers in the home white pinstripes, trimmed in maroon. Hofstra, big and tall at 6'5" on the mound, stares in for the windup. 0-1. Fastball slapped foul up the right field line. 0-2 on Claunch. Claunch wants to be a firefighter when his baseball playing career is done. Very admirable pursuit after his playing days. That's the plan. 6-0, 195 a junior. Hard fastball outside from Hofstra. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Base is empty with 1 out in the top of the 6th. Kettleers ahead 2-1. McWhorter the RBI double back in the 4th. Hofstra winds up for the 1-2. Slider in the dirt. Good block by Kessler with nobody on even. 2-2. Starting to cool down a little bit at Lowell Park. It was really hot earlier this afternoon. Probably the hottest day we've had all summer at 85 degrees. 2-2. Fastball on the outside corner. Zipped in at 94 miles an hour. Bo Hofstra with a strikeout for out number 2 in the visiting half of the 6th. Hofstra freezes Claunch. A really solid pitch on the outside corner. It's Bo's 3rd strikeout of this relief appearance. 2 outs in the top of the 6th now, and nobody aboard, and here's Taylor Smith, the designated hitter from the right side. Sean Sullivan started the ball game for the Kettleers, went 4+ innings, allowed 1 run on 4 hits, and struck out 7. One of them was this man and Taylor Smith. He struck out back in the 2nd inning, flew out to left field back in the 4th. One ball and no strikes. Bo drives off the back foot and delivers. Fastball on the outer half of the plate, called for a strike. 1-1. Activity in the Kettleer bullpen. Matt Merv is stretching and tossing, a right-hander. 1-1 fastball, tails away. 2 balls and 1 strike on the batter and Smith. Hofstra big and tall at 6'5", 235. Big long mullet coming out of his maroon cap. 2-1 fastball, just below the knees, 3 balls and a strike. That's his signature flow. His Purdue teammate Matt Moore also has some good lettuce going on. Not quite a mullet though, but they've got it going on up there in West Lafayette.
There's some good hair over at Purdue.
3-1, wave and a miss. Smith unable to catch up with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. The count runs full. Got to say, the mullet, I think, is kind of making a comeback.
I've seen it a little bit more in baseball, too. You know, Adam Conley on the Marlins, a reliever, rocked a crazy mullet. Might be one of the craziest I've ever seen. Full shaved head, just the hair in the back.
Payoff pitch, misses outside. A fastball that could not find the zone. Smith works a 2-out walk to keep Falmouth going in the top of the 6th. It's 2-1 Cotuit. Jackson Coots next up. The big bearded first baseman. Big old red beard for him. He bats from the left side, 0 for 2 with a strikeout looking against Sullivan in the 2nd. Popped up to 3rd to end the 4th. When did the mullet even originate? What decade was that? Was that the 80s?
I want to say it was the 80s.
I feel like the 80s were just rocking, man. I probably would not have survived, but I feel like there were a lot of good things happening in the 80s.
The 1980s was the high point of the mullet's popularity in continental Europe.
Wow. Oh, it's a Euro thing. Coots a pop-up foul, left side. Schmidt sprinting back, but he has no play. Strike 1. Well, I've now been watching Stranger Things a ton, which is set in the 1980s in the fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana. And there's a lot of mullet action going on in there, too, so I guess that's where it comes from. 80s were cool, though. Good music. A very prosperous time in our great nation.
A lot of
Fun times.
A lot of our between innings music on the playlist there is from the 80s.
Yeah, let me dial one up right here. That's, of course, if you're listening online at Mixler. Mixler.com/Cotuit Broadcasting. Radio calls for all 44 games. Here's the 1-1 to Coots. Fastball up, 2-1.
Of course, no more music on YouTube between innings. Sorry about that, but the copyright crackdown by YouTube has been amazing. I don't know what kind of algorithm they use, but you play 5 seconds of a song and you're getting an email.
2-1. Fastball fouled away. 2-2 on Coots. It's just a new age, a new day and age, I guess. The technology is ramped up. We can't escape them. Man on first and Taylor Smith. He walked with 2 outs. Top of the 6th. Kettleers up 2-1. Hofstra from the stretch. A long hole at the belt. 2-2. Fastball runs inside. Full count again. The sun is setting down at Lowell Park. Looks like it's the last call for the 50-50 raffle. Shadows across the left side of the diamond. Aram won a raffle earlier this summer at Chatham. He won a cruise.
Yeah, I'm not sure when we're going to redeem that. I'm not going to be able to. We have no off days.
Payoff pitch. Slapped over foul on the left side, out of play. Runner was on the move, and Smith with a full count and 2 outs. Well, the other thing is does it have an expiration date? Are you racing against the clock?
That's a great question. I might have to give that one away.
Yeah, sell it. Could you do that?
I think I could, but who's going to buy that?
Oh, man. Was it a cruise to anywhere? I forget.
It was. I actually really haven't delved into it too much. I don't even think I've opened the envelope.
There goes the runner. 3-2. Bounced up the middle, and that's into center field for a base hit. Here comes Smith coasting into third. A 2-out single for Jackson Coots, and that makes it runners on the corners for Falmouth to keep the top of the 6th going.
Good awareness there by Smith as he saw the chopper heading towards him. He slowed down, let it get past him. He knew he'd be able to get to third base regardless, and of course if that ball hits you, the inning's over.
He held up at just the last second. Nick Gonzalez was playing towards first base on that right side at second base, and there was plenty of space for that ball to bounce into center field.
No shift is bulletproof, and we've seen it work in the Kettleers' favor, but of course sometimes it's going to work against you, and right there it did not work in Nick Gonzalez and his team's favor.
It's 2-1 Cotuit in the top of the 6th. Runners on first and third for Falmouth with 2 outs. Steven Moretto, the number 8 man, back at the plate from the right side. He walked and stole his last time up in the 5th. Hofstra a check over at Coots on first base. The Kettleers regained the lead in the bottom of the 4th inning. Mason McWhorter produced his 3rd double this week to drive in Joey Loperfido. Commodores a chance to answer with 2 away. First pitch, fastball, just tags the upper outside corner on Moretto, strike 1.
Kettleer pitchers have done a good job today of abusing that pitch away. Piantadosi's been calling it just about a ball and a half, 2 baseballs off of the plate, and these Falmouth hitters have been watching it. It was a big part of Sean Sullivan's success.
McWhorter holds at first, 0-1. Hard fastball outside in the other batter's box, 1 ball and 1 strike. Cruz bounced out to second. Claunch struck out looking. Then Smith worked a walk with a 3-2 count. Coots a 3-2 single up the middle. First and third for Falmouth, 2 down. 1-1 fastball. That's on that outside corner, called for a strike. Hofstra takes advantage of the liberal zone, and he gets ahead 1-2.
Good job by Kessler there, too. He's receiving the ball really well, sticking it, and bringing it back a little bit to that corner.
Bo Hofstra trying to keep a 2-1 lead for the Kettleers intact. Top of the 6th, first and third for Falmouth. And a spin over to first. A casual throw to check on Coots. Mike Roberts barking out to his defense. He wants a little bit of a shade towards second base up the middle. McWhorter no longer holds at first. He's in front of the runner and Coots. 1-2, fastball, check swing, got him across the plane, and Bo Hofstra delivers a strikeout. His 4th of this outing, and it strands runners on first and third to end the top of the 6th. Kettleers still on top, 2-1. Here's some 80s for you as we move on to the bottom of 6 on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. At Lowell Park, Kettleers lead the Falmouth Commodores 2-1. And this broadcast tonight sponsored by Curry College. Curry College offers 14 NCAA Division III teams. You can read about the success of the Curry Colonels and their championship teams online at curry.edu. Also sponsored by Cape Cod Healthcare. Expert physicians, quality hospitals, superior care. Kettleers at the plate against a new pitcher in the bottom of the 6th. Nick Nestrini's day is done. He gives way to a lefty, Sam Weatherly, out of Clemson, 6'3", 200 pounds, a junior, making his 5th appearance on the summer, 0-1 with a 5.68 ERA. Joey Loperfido leads off on the left side, and he punches a fastball out of play on the left. Strike 1. Weatherly pitched against the Kettleers in the first matchup between these two teams last Wednesday. He looked pretty good, faced 7 batters, only walked 1, struck out 3 in 2 scoreless innings. 0-1 from the southpaw. Nasty curveball, swing and a miss. Nothing at 2.
Much like Kyle Nicholas for the Kettleers, Weatherly's got top-end stuff out of the bullpen. It's just about harnessing it, but when he can harness it, he's virtually unhittable.
0-2. Breaking ball again, this time grounded over to second. Cantrell plays on to first for out number 1.
And I talked to Joey Loperfido a couple games ago about Weatherly. He saw him obviously this season because he pitches for Clemson in the ACC, and he said that was one of the toughest left-handed pitchers I faced all spring, and you can see why.
Weatherly a 3.37 ERA at Clemson in 21 appearances for the Tigers this spring. Loperfido now 1 for 3. He's retired to begin the bottom of the 6th. 1 out, nobody aboard, and Mason McWhorter at the plate. He takes a curveball up for ball 1. McWhorter working on a 2-for-2 day. He singled in the 2nd, brought home an RBI double in the 4th to give the Kettleers the lead at 2-1. 1-0. Breaking pitch sinks down and away, 2-0. Kettleers ahead, 2-1 here in the bottom of 6. McWhorter at the plate, and it looks like a pinch hitter on deck in Dante Williams for Cam Hill in the number 7 spot. 2-0 fastball. Hammered high and outside. Fouled off and out of play behind the third base grandstand to make it a 2-1 count. Falmouth in the road blacks. Gray pants trimmed in maroon. Black caps with the Pirates font F on the front. 2-1 breaking ball. Ripped foul past first base. Even count on McWhorter, 2-2. Kettleers in the home pinstripes trimmed in maroon.
It's a good spot here for Weatherly. He has all left-handed hitters. He already got Loperfido. McWhorter batting from the left side. Cam Hill is getting pinch hit for, but with a left-handed hitter. And then he's got Christian Robinson. Of course, the only right-handed hitter on the bench is Sam Ferry.
2-2. Curveball roped into right. DeLoach comes in. He's got it for out number 2. McWhorter hangs one up in the air. It's an easy play for DeLoach. And Weatherly gets his first 2 batters out of the pen. Nobody aboard for a pinch hitter now. Dante Williams slides into the number 7 spot. He replaces Cam Hill in center field for the time being. Hill wraps up his day 0 for 2 with a strikeout at the plate. Williams, a left-handed bat. He came into the ball game during the late rally yesterday. Walked and then came around to score on the Arajanu 3-run single. That came with the bases loaded. First pitch from Weatherly. Fastball high and tight for ball 1.
Of course, on that single, Arajanu pulled his something. It looked like it might have been his groin. He was hobbled after that, and that's probably the only reason why you're not seeing him pinch hitting here. As we mentioned, that's the only other outfielder that bats from the right side. Of course, Anu's the switch hitter.
Fastball at the letters. 2 balls and no strikes on Williams. 7 for 37 this summer. A home run, 2 driven in, and 10 runs scored. He's been used as a pinch runner primarily. Gets a chance to hit here with his team in front, 2-1. Kettleers lead it in the bottom of the 6th. 2 outs, bases empty. 2-0 from Weatherly. Another high fastball at 90 miles an hour. Just can't harness it. 3-0. Weatherly toes back onto the rubber. A reset with a 3-0 count. The lefty deals. Fastball on the outside corner. A good pitch for a strike. 3-1 on Williams. Christian Robinson, the number 8 batter on deck. Three-one. Fastball hit hard and high left field. Maisel all the way back to the fence, and he's able to grab it with 2 hands right up against the chain links. A good play by Austin Maisel. And that robs Dante Williams of potential extra bases. The pinch hitter can't get anything sparked for Cotuit. And the Kettleers go down in order here in the bottom of the 6th. No runs on no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. We're on to the 7th. 2-1 Cotuit over Falmouth. This is Cotuit Kettleers baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Nicholas time. In the top of the 7th at Lowell Park, the Kettleers bring on the flame-throwing right-hander from Ball State to relieve Bo Hofstra. Nicholas making his 8th appearance on the season, 1-0 with a .565 earned run average. His last outing came on Sunday at Bourne. He tossed an inning and a third before walking the bases loaded in the 8th. Exited that game only allowing 1 run. Casey Schmidt picked him up in relief out of the pen. Struck out 1 and faced 7 batters. Aram, he's sort of been topsy-turvy as of late. How can Nicholas bring it back in on the mound in this stint?
And I mean, it's pretty simple with him. He's got as good of his stuff as anybody in the entire Cape League, but it's about getting ahead of hitters and controlling that fastball. We've seen it get away from him as he's walked a bunch of hitters in a row like you've seen in his last few outings, and he's got to get ahead and start with the fastball.
7th inning from Cotuit. Kettleers lead 2-1. Nicholas on board. Bo Hofstra wraps up a good day out of the pen. 2 innings of scoreless ball. Only allowed 1 hit. Walked 2 and struck out 4. Nicholas the windup. And Austin Maisel fouls off strike 1. 9-1-2 for Falmouth in this inning. Maisel, Cantrell, and then Dunn. Maisel 1 for 2. A single in the 3rd. A strikeout looking against Hofstra in the 5th. 0-1. Fastball, jam shot to short, and Oviedo drops to a knee to catch it for out number 1. Couple pitches, and the leadoff man retired in the top of the 7th. Falmouth flips it back over to the leadoff man, Hayden Cantrell, 0 for 2 with a walk his last time up.
And you get the feeling that this guy is just due. He's been hitting so well all season long. He just hasn't really gotten a pitch to hit so far this ball game. Just missed a couple. And he's a guy that can really swing it.
1 out and the base is empty for Cantrell. First pitch from Nicholas, tagged back to the backstop foul. A 97-mile-an-hour fastball for strike 1. Cantrell, a strikeout looking in the 1st, a fly out to left in the 3rd. He walked in the 5th. Left-handed batting second baseman out of Louisiana Lafayette. This is his 2nd rodeo in the Cape League. 2-1 Kettleers in the 7th. 0-1 fastball. Wild. 1 ball and 1 strike. We mentioned Nicholas's struggles. They've all had to do with control. He has walked at least 2 in his last 5 outings. He misses low and in with a 94-mile-an-hour heater there. 2 balls and a strike on Cantrell. 3 walks against Bourne. That was Sunday. 2 walks against Hyannis on Friday. 2 walks in the outing before that. 4 in the outing before that one. And then 2 on a Sunday doubleheader outing against Brewster. 2-1. Fastball high and in at 97 on the gun. 3 balls and a strike on Cantrell. Mason McWhorter powering the Kettleers with an RBI double to go ahead in the bottom of the 4th. Goose egg since then. Nicholas the windup. And a fastball, grounded hard, second base, diving stop by Gonzalez. Played on the 1st for out number 2. Nice play by Nick Gonzalez. And there are 2 down here in the top of the 7th.
Gonzalez flashing the leather there. He was shaded up the middle a little bit. That was a line drive, 1 hopper. He's able to recover, get back over to where he typically plays at second base. Diving play, got up quickly, and a nice strong throw over to 1st to beat the speedy Cantrell.
Cantrell robbed by his counterpart at second base. Gonzalez picks up Nicholas. 2 outs with the bases empty here in the 7th. Blake Dunn, first pitch swinging. A short pop-up into left, and Adam Oviedo's able to make the play for out number 3. Kyle Nicholas, a quick 1-2-3 inning here in the 7th. It's stretch time at Lowell Park, and the Kettleers lead Falmouth 2-1. We'll be back in just a moment. This is Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Cape Cod Baseball Network, sponsored by Cape Cod Healthcare, expert physicians, quality hospitals, and superior care, and by Curry College. Learn online about the 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams for the Curry Colonels and all of their championship success. It's all online at curry.edu. That's Curry College, curry.edu. 8-9-1 due up for the Kettleers in this inning. Robinson, Oviedo, and Gonzalez. Sam Weatherly, the lefty out of Clemson, works his second inning out of the pen for Falmouth. How can the Kettleers muster up a little bit of insurance late in this one, bottom of the 7th?
Well, the good news for the Kettleers is Weatherly has never worked more than 2 innings in an outing so far this season, so you expect him to be the bridge to somebody else. But what Dante Williams did, right, waiting back on that fastball, if the curveball's not in the strike zone, trying to leave it and wait back on a hard fastball and drive it the other way like Williams did. Guys like this are really tough to hit.
2-1 Kettleers, bottom of the 7th. Here's Christian Robinson, who takes a curveball spiked at 50 feet for ball 1. Robinson 0 for 2. A fly out, and then he bunted out to the pitcher back in the 4th. The Kettleers took the lead in the bottom of the 4th on Mason McWhorter's RBI double. That's the difference right now. Moretto plays in by a step at third, 1-0 from Weatherly. High fly ball, right side, foul ground, and that's out of play for strike 1. 1-1 on Robinson. Both starting pitchers pitched really strong. Sean Sullivan, 4+ innings, only allowed 1 run on 4 hits for the Kettleers, struck out a season-high 7. Nick Nastrini went 5 innings again against Cotuit in his second start against the Pinstripes, allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, walked nobody, and struck out 3. Breaking ball grounded hard just past first base. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Robinson. It's into the bullpen now. Bo Hofstra worked 2 innings in the middle for the Kettleers. Kyle Nicholas came on and worked a 1-2-3 7th. This is Weatherly's second inning out of the pen for Falmouth. Base is empty with nobody out in the bottom of the 7th. 2-1 Kettleers, 1-2. Fastball down and away. 2-2 on Robinson.
And I think the plan is for Hofstra to go 1 more. It doesn't look like there's any action over there in the bullpen. So Hofstra going to get stretched out for 3 again. He's shown that he can pitch deep into ball games in middle relief.
2-2. Breaking pitch just tipped foul in front of home plate. Robinson able to get a piece and stay alive with a 2-2 count. The Kettleers have only beat Falmouth once in their last 8 meetings against the Commodores. And something about that Jeff Trundy magic that has had the Kettleers number. Could this be the night when Cotuit gets off of that cold streak? Maybe a pitcher's duel to get it out of their system. 2-2. Fastball spiked low in the dirt. Full count on Robinson.
Well, this is what we talked about. Weatherly has great stuff, but he'll lose sight of the strike zone sometimes. Got to make him throw a strike. A good at-bat so far. You got to be looking for something up, and if he's able to dot one at the knees, might have to just tip your cap.
2-1 Kettleers, bottom of the 7th. Wind up at the 3-2. Fastball slashed away foul up the left field line. A good battle brewing between these two right here. Robinson out of Stanford and Weatherly from Clemson. A native of Howell, Michigan. A former 27th round draft pick out of Howell High School by the Toronto Blue Jays. Payoff pitch. Breaking ball. Cast into right field. That's down for a base hit. Christian Robinson gets the Cotuit Kettleers going here in the bottom of the 7th with a leadoff single. 7th hit for the Kettleers today.
Great job there by Robinson, waiting back on that curveball. He saw it a few times, picked it up out of his hand, and was just able to stay back enough to yank it out over into right field and dump it in front of the right fielder, Deloach.
Robinson now 1 for 3. He's on first after the leadoff hit. Coots holds him on. Big gap on the right side of the infield for Adam Oviedo, who's at the plate. 1 on with nobody out. 2-1 Cotuit in the bottom of the 7th. Weatherly works out of the stretch for the first time this afternoon. He holds closed off out of the belt. Leg lift and a throw over to Robinson, who already shuffled back into the base. Middle of the infield at double play depth for Falmouth. Cruz at short, Cantrell at second. Moretto plays in just on the edge of the grass at third base. Adam Oviedo is 1 for 2. A single and a run scored in the third, a fly out to left in the fourth. Weatherly a long look in. Now he posts up the front right leg. First pitch. Ovi shows bunt and went around on a curveball for strike one.
Got to be patient if you're Ovi. I know he wants to get that bunt down, but that was a curveball to start the at-bat off. A tough pitch to bunt. And, of course, Weatherly averaged more than 1 walk per inning at Clemson this year. That's 30 in 29 1/3 innings. Got to make him throw strikes.
2-1 Kettleers in the bottom of the seventh. Man on first and Robinson, nobody out. Weatherly holds 0-1. Curveball looped in on the outside corner. Oviedo took it for a strike. 0-2 on the number 9 batter in the Kettleer lineup. Nick Gonzalez on deck, 1 for 3 with an infield hit. Robinson shuffles off first. Coots holds him on with a little bend in the knee. Weatherly holds the ball behind his left hip. Now comes set after the sign from Claunch. Long look in for the lefty. Leg lift and time called right at the last second by Mark Piantadosi, the home plate umpire. The sun's going down at Lowell Park. No lights at this historic ballpark that turns 73 years old this summer. The big green trees in the outfield. Lit up in right field, a little darker in left field. Shadows across the entire infield.
I think Coots just tied Christian Robinson's shoe for him.
I did not see that. There were some claps around the ballpark, and now Robinson leads off first. Coots holds him on. Shoelaces tied or not. 0-2. Fouled back by Oviedo. A fastball, and he's able to pick up on it to stay alive. Mike Roberts in the third base coaching box with his maroon quarter zip going through the signs the old-fashioned way. Robinson, decent speed at first base. Falmouth continues to play the middle of the infield at double play depth. Moreno backs up a few steps at third base with a 2-strike count on the right-handed batter in Oviedo. 2-1 Kettleers in the bottom of the seventh. Weatherly's 0-2. Curveball in the dirt, blocked by Claunch. Good take, 1-2. White clouds beaming around the sunset past the third base grandstand. A light blue sky overhead on a late Wednesday afternoon in Cotuit. 1-2 fastball, high and outside. It's 2-2 on Oviedo. Was a bunting situation to begin this at-bat. He took 2 curveballs for a strike. Wasn't able to get one down with the leadoff man on and Robinson, who singled into right. Nobody out in the bottom of the seventh. Kettleers by 1 run. Weatherly comes set. Zones in, 2-2. Wild fastball high and away. Oviedo has worked this count, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Big for the Kettleers to take advantage of Weatherly struggling here. I know I said earlier that they might want to get him out of the ball game, but unfortunately, the guy that would likely come in next might be Thomas Gerard, who hasn't thrown in a little while, and he's one of the better back-end guys in the entire Cape League. We got a little taste of what he could do here as he closed out a save and a win over the Kettleers at Lowell Park.
Man on first, nobody out in the bottom of the seventh. Payoff pitch, breaking ball in there on the outside corner, called for strike 3. Weatherly goes to his best curveball, and he gets a good strike on the outside corner to retire Oviedo. A strikeout looking for out number 1. Still a man on first and Robinson for the leadoff batter and Nick Gonzalez.
Tough to pull the trigger on a 2-2 backdoor curveball like that. Just a phenomenal pitch there from Weatherly.
Does indeed look like Thomas Gerard, the stocky righty out of Duke, getting loose in the Falmouth pen in right field. 1 on with 1 out. Gonzalez from the right side. First pitch. Breaking ball low and in at the ankles. 1 ball and no strikes. Gonzalez started a new on-base streak this afternoon. An infield single to third back in the 3rd inning. Grounded out to shortstop his last time up in the 5th. Kettleers in front, 2-1 in the bottom of the 7th. Weatherly set, a glance at Robinson, holds, leg lift, and a throw. Little low and downstairs, but Coots was able to pick it out of the dirt. Commodores with the infield playing back. Moretto at normal depth at third base. Middle infielders ready for a potential inning-ending ground ball. (1-0) home. Breaking ball, another good block by Claunch to keep it in front. 2-0 on Gonzalez. Cotuit opened up the scoring in the third. Aubrey Major an RBI ground out. He's on deck. Falmouth answered in the fourth. A sac fly from Troy Claunch, the catcher. The Kettleers got it right back in the bottom half of the inning. Mason McWhorter an RBI double. That's where we stand. 2-1 in the seventh. High fastball from Weatherly. 3-0 on Gonzalez. This is a crucial game in the Western Division race. It's a three-horse race. Wareham in first place by a half game over Cotuit. The Kettleers in second place by a half game over Falmouth. Every game counts in the second half of the summer. Robinson on first. Coots holds 3-0. Fastball misses high. 4-pitch walk to Nick Gonzalez. And the Kettleers now have 2 on with only 1 out. Aubrey Major due up.
Well, these are the two guys he wanted at the plate here, trying to add some insurance. The two hottest hitters in the Kettleer order, Aubrey Major and Casey Schmidt, back-to-back.
Aubrey Major has been terrific. In 14 games played with the Kettleers so far, he has 19 hits and 50 at-bats. Was batting over .400 to come into this game. He's driven in 7. And has a league-high 7 doubles. The switch hitter bats from the right side against a left-handed pitcher in Weatherly. Troy Claunch just went out to the mound to keep things in check with his southpaw out of the bullpen. The Kettleers have the lead 2-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Robinson the lead runner on second. Gonzalez trails behind at first. Nobody holds him on. Coots plays back. Cantrell shades at second. First pitch to Major. Bunted foul. Strike 1. A 77-mile-an-hour curveball from Weatherly ran inside. And Major squirted it past his own third base dugout. Aubrey's 0 for 3 today. Had the RBI ground out in the third. Grounded out to first base in the fifth. (2-1) to Cotuit, bottom of the 7th. First and second with only 1 out. Weatherly trying to find a way out of this inning. He's ready at the belt, kicks and deals. Curveball in the dirt. Once again, Claunch covers up the 5-hole. 1 ball and 1 strike. Robinson led off the inning with a single into right field. Oviedo struck out looking with a 3-2 count. And Gonzalez walked on 4 pitches. 1-1 to Major. Fastball scoots low and in, and it nicks off the glove of Claunch. It's back on the third base side, and both runners advance into scoring position.
Really good opportunity for Aubrey now. Just got to poke one into the outfield. He was successful in his first at-bat with a runner on third base in less than 2 outs, was able to plate the run. But the infield was back then. Now he needs to find something he can lift to the outfield. A ground ball to second base won't do it.
Weatherly dialed it up to 91 miles an hour on the fastball, but Claunch could not handle it low and in. It results in a wild pitch that puts the Kettleers in business for some insurance in the bottom of the 7th. 2-1 Cotuit. Runners on second and third with 1 out. Falmouth brings the infield in. 2-by-2 on either side. Time called at home plate by Aubrey Major. Major a hit in 12 of his first 13 games this summer. Still yet to collect one today. Weatherly set, 2-1. Breaking ball, just pushed foul on the third base side. Level it up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Falmouth brings the infield in. Kettleers ahead 2-1 in the bottom of the 7th. 1 out and 2 runners in scoring position for the switch hitter Aubrey Major. Weatherly set, closed off the leg lift. Breaking ball, 2-2, scooted foul just past third base. Major pulled that last pitch. Had it been about 6 feet more to the right, probably would have brought both runners home on a double.
We've seen Albury battle in this situation before. Of course, the 13-pitch at-bat at Bourne at Doran Park. He ended up winning the battle and plating 2.
Second and third, 1 out. 2-2, ripped into the left center gap. Aubrey Major a base hit. Robinson scores. Gonzalez held up at third. And Major wins the battle to extend the Kettleers' advantage. It's 3-1 Cotuit here in the bottom of the 7th.
And this guy just keeps coming through in clutch situations. Even with 2 strikes, he's so comfortable. And a great at-bat there from Albury.
Aubrey Major, an RBI single, give him 13 games with a hit and 14 appearances this summer. And the Kettleers now have runners on first and third with only 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. It's 3-1 to the good guys. Casey Schmidt due up next. The pitching coach for Falmouth out of the pen. He wants to go to the bullpen. It's it for Sam Weatherly. The lefty's day is done, and we'll come back with a new pitcher on the other side of this break. Kettleers 3 and Falmouth 1 on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Back to Lowell Park. New pitcher on for the Falmouth Commodores. Logan Hoffman comes into the game, a right-handed pitcher from Northwestern State University. It's his 6th appearance on the summer. He relieves Sam Weatherly, who works an inning and a third, allows 2 hits, 1 run on the major RBI single that made it 3-1 Cotuit. He walked 1 and struck out 1. He is responsible for both base runners on the corners. Hoffman comes into this game. He has struck out 14 in 9 2/3 innings of work so far this summer, Aram, and he faces off against Casey Schmidt.
He's a guy that's got wipeout stuff as well. A lot of good back-end guys for this ball club, and he's striking out a lot at batters at an astronomical rate so far, 14 in just 9 innings. But the Kettleers want to keep adding on, and a good opportunity to with Aubrey Major on first.
3-1 Kettleers in the bottom of the 7th after Major's RBI single that plated Robinson. 1 out, runners on first and third. Hoffman holds, first pitch to Schmidt. Curveball drops in, strike 1. 73 miles an hour on that last one.
That had some 12-6 action on it. That dropped straight down. was not as much of a sweeper as we saw from Weatherly. And you can't pull the trigger on that first pitch if you're Casey Schmidt. Good idea to just spit on that one and see another.
Dropped like a roller coaster coming down from its peak. Schmidt from the right side. He's 1 for 2 today. He takes again, 12-6 curve on the outside, but it misses the zone. 1 ball and 1 strike. Schmidt popped up to second base in the first, was a hit batsman in the third, and he singled his last time up in the fifth. Aubrey Major has extended the Kettleers' lead. It's 3-1 in the bottom of the 7th. First and third with 1 out. Hoffman the 1-1. Fastball hit in the air, down the right field line, foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Schmidt. Robinson singled to lead off the inning. Oviedo struck out looking. Gonzalez walked to make it first and second with 1 out. They both moved up into scoring position on a wild pitch, and Aubrey Major cranked a hit into left center field that scored Robinson from third to make it 3-1. Major on first and Gonzalez on third now with only 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. It's 3-1 Kettleers, middle of the infield at double play depth. Coots holds on the runner and Major. Hoffman ready at the belt, a deep breath out. 1-2. Curveball taken on the ground, foul on the third base side. Casey Schmidt riding a 6-game hitting streak that he extended earlier today in the 5th. The hottest bat in the Kettleer lineup. He's got 10 hits over his last 5 games. Major a lengthy lead off first base. Coots holds him on. Middle of the infield, squeezes towards second base. Moretto at normal alignment at third. 1-2. Fastball, high chopper, third base side, foul. Would have been a really tough play, and Moretto went over that way, but it was on the left side of the line. 1-2 still. Cotuit looking for a key win over Falmouth at home. It would put him up a game and a half for third place, or for second place for sure, in pending Wareham's result tonight against Chatham on the road. Could give the Kettleers a shot at first in the West. 3-1 Kettleers after the Major RBI single, first and third with 1 out. Hoffman ready at the belt, and a quick spin over to first. The throw to Major, and he's able to dive back in. It just leaked away from Coots for a moment, but he recovered. Otherwise, Gonzalez was thinking about coming home. A run on 5 hits for Falmouth. 3 runs on 8 hits for the Kettleers. A good old-fashioned pitching duel at Lowell Park on a Wednesday afternoon between these two rivals. Major leads off first. Gonzalez off third. 1 out in the home half of the 7th. 3-1 Kettleers. 1-2 to Schmidt. Breaking ball poked on the first base side. Coots scoops, throws home late, and Gonzalez slides in to score. The ball gets away from Claunch, who's hidden down. Major scoots into third. Schmidt runs all the way up to second base, and play stops there. Kettleers add on to their total 4-1. Schmidt reaches on a fielder's choice. Now the concern for Troy Claunch, the catcher who collided with Nick Gonzalez when he scored.
A hard slide there from Gonzalez, and Claunch was up the line a little bit to field the throw and put the tag down, and just a lot of contact there, obviously inadvertent, but that hurts as a catcher, and unfortunately Claunch got the worst half of it.
It was a little poke off the end of the bat for Casey Schmidt on the first base side. Claunch hesitated to throw a little bit, threw it home late. The play at the plate was close. Gonzalez slid in feet first and collided with Claunch, who took the brunt of that contact and eventually spun to the seat of his pants right after the play. The ball was jarred out of his glove and came over to the third base side. That allowed both runners to move into scoring position, and Claunch is able to get up from the seat of his pants, at least hinged over at the waist. Right now being checked on by the athletic trainer for Falmouth. The entire infield there as well, along with Jeff Trundy, the longtime head coach for the Commodores. Hopefully he's all right. Nevertheless, the Kettleers have extended their advantage. It's 4-1 Cotuit in the bottom of the 7th. And this thing's going to keep on going with runners at second and third and only one down for Colton Kessler. Hopefully Claunch is okay. He's bending over at the knees. Right now checking on his left ankle. He's got his hand down there. Don't know if it got caught up in the scrum. Maybe he twisted it or if it was bent the wrong way. Now he's walking, trying to feel it out and walk it off. The Kettleers notch home their 4th run of the afternoon. An RBI fielder's choice by Casey Schmidt to score Gonzalez from third on a play at the plate. Troy Claunch puts his catcher's helmet back on. The 2 athletic trainers for Falmouth still talking with him just in front of home plate. Mark Piantadosi, the umpire, goes out there as well. Jeff Trundy still checking on his backstop with his hands on his hips. Now Mark Piantadosi picks up Claunch's catching mask, and he's circling around home plate. It looks like he will remain in the ball game. The main concern for Claunch, it looks to be his ankle, not a concussion or anything with the head, which is good news.
A good hard slide there from Gonzalez, and he might have got him with a cleat or something along those lines, but I'm pretty sure Gonzalez is banged up a little bit too in the dugout, and he might not be coming back out. Apparently he's feeling a little bit of that hit too.
Hopefully Gonzalez is okay. He came tumbling in. Right now it looks like Mike Roberts is on the dugout ledge talking down there. And we can see Craig Moody, the Kettleers athletic trainer, tending to Gonzalez. It looks like he's tending to his foot as well. Remember, he came in sliding feet first on that play. It was not your traditional go in with your shoulder lowered down.
Not legal anymore at any level pretty much, unless the catcher's in the way, and Claunch wasn't, but just a little bit to the left of home plate and a hard slide to get in there.
Scored a 3-2 fielder's choice that drives in a run for Casey Schmidt. Second and third with one out. 4-1 Cotuit in the 7th. Colton Kessler, your batter. Hoffman out of the windup with both runners at second and third, and he starts Kessler out with a changeup in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes. Falmouth plays the infield in again. Last chance to dance defensively for Jeff Trundy's Commodores here in the bottom of the 7th. Kessler 0 for 3, a fly out to center back in the 5th. 1-0. Fastball in there at the knees for a called strike. It's 1-1. Cotuit has posted up 2 more here in the bottom of the 7th. Aubrey Major, an RBI single against Sam Weatherly. Casey Schmidt, an RBI fielder's choice against Logan Hoffman. Second and third, one away, infield in, 1-1. Breaking ball, drops into the zone, 1-2.
It's got such a sharp break to it, doesn't it? A really good pitch there. And he's showing a good feel for it, and he has a low 90s fastball to complement it. Really tough guy to get a hit off of, especially when you're trying to get something you can lift into the outfield. And Hoffman's looking for a strikeout.
Infield still in, Schmidt on second, Major on third. 1-2. Breaking ball, poked foul in the air on the left side, out of play. Hoffman wrapped up 2 years at Colby Community College. He's a native of Munster, Saskatchewan. Now ready to play at Northwestern State. It's his draft-eligible year. A former 35th round selection by the St. Louis Cardinals. 4-1 Kettleers, bottom of the 7th. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Out number 2. Kessler down on strikes for the second time this afternoon. A big strikeout for Hoffman that allows his infield to breathe a little bit. They'll go back to normal depth. 4-1 Cotuit. Second and third still now at 2 outs. And Joey Loperfido back at the plate for the 4th time in this game. 1 for 3 with a run scored back in the 4th. He grounded out to second base his last time up in the 6th. Hoffman still out of the windup. Major teasing off of third base. First pitch fastball. Finds the outside corner for strike 1.
I've seen that called all ball game long. A few inches off the plate, and pitchers have been abusing it to their credit. That's something you should take advantage of if you're a pitcher on the mound.
Loperfido, a left-handed bat against the righty, and Hoffman. 0-1. Curveball, fly ball, left field. Maisel came in for a step and then backpedaled for out number 3. The Kettleers are able to extend their lead, though. An RBI single by Aubrey Major and an RBI fielder's choice by Casey Schmidt. And Cotuit makes it 4-1. We go on to the 8th. Arham's taking you home when we return. This is Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
For his second inning of work. It's the 8th. The Kettleers were able to add a couple runs, and it's now 4-1 in favor of Cotuit. New second baseman is Joey Loperfido. He started the game as a DH. Of course, in that 8th inning, or bottom of the 7th rather, Nick Gonzalez collided with the catcher Clonch, and it looks like he's a little shaken up. He's going to come out of this ball game. First pitch is lifted. We'll see if it's playable. It tails foul and towards the third base grandstand. You hope Nick Gonzalez is all right. Hopefully it's just precautionary. Loperfido played second base a good portion of this year for Duke. A super utility guy. He can play the outfield first, but most recently played a lot of second base. The 0-1 fouled straight back quickly. 0-2 to Zach Deloche, who's been kept in check for the most part this game. Does have the one single, and he later scored in the 4th, but also a pair of strikeouts for the guy who came into today's game, coming off of a game with a pair of home runs and hitting .400. The 0-2 blew it by him. Strike 3, 98 on the gun from Kyle Nicholas. How about that? He's lighting it up already.
How about Kyle Nicholas? Well done. 3 pitches and a strikeout to retire the best batting average hitter in the Cape League, and Zach Deloche. Not going to be that way after this performance, though. He's got a hat trick of Ks, and Nicholas took advantage, climbed the ladder there on the radar gun.
So now Trey Cruz bats from the left side. He has a pair of singles. First pitch swinging. He grounds one out to Loperfido. Throws it on over to first for the second out of the inning. It never fails, Sam. A defensive replacement always gets the ball within the first couple batters.
Isn't that something?
Good job by Loperfido to make the play there.
Well, you just really hope that Nick Gonzalez is okay and that whatever his injury concern is not 100% scary, because it's scary as it is having your best player in the same breath of the sentence with an injury, but it's good news that Joey Loperfido can play second base rather naturally, too.
And now up is the other half of that collision. It's Troy Clonch, the catcher. Good to see that he is all right. But, of course, for Nick Gonzalez, he has a lot to look forward to beyond this summer. Has really impressive draft prospects coming up for the next 2020 draft. Fouled straight back. It's 1-1. He could be a day 1 guy at the very worst. A day 2 guy if he puts up similar numbers to what he just did. And he's one of the most impressive prospects in this entire league.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what the Cape League is about. It's about developing guys for the show, and this is a guy that has done everything in his power to boost his stock and get on the radar for all the scouts that have seen him.
The 1-1. Ground ball out to Casey Schmidt. He lays out, but it gets past him into left field. You get the impression that every time Casey Schmidt lays out now that he's going to glove it with how good he's been in the hot corner. But this one gets by him, and it's a base hit. The first of the ball game for Troy Claunch.
I was geared up for another SportsCenter-esque play from Schmidt, especially with Claunch getting up the line at first, but he wasn't able to make that play. He timed his dive out pretty good, just wasn't able to get a glove on it. Nevertheless, great effort as always from Schmidt at the hot corner.
So Claunch extends the inning. There's 2 away. He's on first base, and now it's Taylor Smith, the DH. Nicholas now out of the stretch, picks over to first, and Claunch is back easily. Claunch not much of a threat to run, no stolen bases on the year, and of course he's a little hobbled from that collision. 4-1 in favor of the Kettleers. They have 4 runs on 9 hits. Just 1 run on 6 hits for Falmouth. The first pitch fastball, 95 on the gun, dots the corner. On deck is Jackson Coots if Taylor Smith is able to extend this 8th inning. Infield plays straight up. Nicholas steps off and lets Taylor Smith get a breather, who called for time. Nicholas comes set right at the chest. Takes a look over at first, kicks and deals. Another fastball, 96, strike 2. And this is the hardest we've seen Kyle Nicholas throw so far this summer. He usually sits in the low 90s, can touch the mid 90s, but he's running it up to high 90s.
He looks like he's more sharp, especially compared to his last outings. The 3 up, 3 down, 7th, and then here, plenty of life.
1 pitch away from ending the 8th. The 0-2 just misses away. It's 1-2.
And this is what the Kettleers want him to be. It's really what the Kettleers need him to be. They need that back-end closer, especially with Holden Powell away at USA right now. Mike Roberts loves a good closer. Last year it was Steven Schock, the subby. This year it could be Nicholas, the flamethrower.
And still looking for some consistency out of the back end of the bullpen. Nicholas was really impressive to start the summer, hit a rough patch, and today he looks like he's back in preseason, midseason form. The 1-2. Blew it by him, strike 3. Kyle Nicholas ends the 8th inning erasing Taylor Smith. We'll go into the bottom of the 8th. The Kettleers trying to add more. It's 4-1 in favor of Cotuit. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball at the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
first time I saw you, I knew with you to light my night.
Kettleers looking to add. They're up 3. It's 4-1. The new arm for the Commodores is a FSU Seminole. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. It's Shane Drowen. Drowen from West Palm Beach, Florida. He'll be a junior. He was a 23rd round pick in 2017 by the Philadelphia Phillies. This spring, he was 3-1 with a 3.83 ERA in 11 starts. He threw 49 innings, struck out 70. First pitch to Mason McWhorter, misses low, 1-0. McWhorter has a pair of hits in this ball game, a single and a double. The left-handed hitter faces the southpaw in Drowen. That bender just curves out of the strike zone, so it's 2-0. Out of the windup, Drowen kicks and deals. Chopper out to second base, ranging over is Cantrell. He slides, tries to pick it up, and is not able to throw it in time. Good hustle by McWhorter to beat that out. We'll see what it's scored as. Looks like it's going to be a hit.
Good effort by Cantrell, but even better hustle by McWhorter to make sure there was no play at first. And you got to love the way the Kettleers have stuck in games all 9 innings. Win or lose, Mike Roberts' side has always had the intent to go out there and fight and finish till the end, no matter what the scoreboard says.
So now it's Dante Williams, another left-handed hitter against the southpaw. Williams was a pinch hitter. He entered for Cam Hill in the 6th. He just missed a home run out to left field on a nice grab by Maisel. He squares to bunt, pulls back as that fastball misses away. 93 on the gun there from Drowen. Drowen's only thrown an inning and a third. He gave up 1 run on 1 hit. Walked 1 and struck out 1. That was on July 5th against first place Chatham. The 1-0. Squares to bunt, pulls it back again as that one misses away. It's 2-0.
Let's take a look at the Cape League scoreboard. Brewster leads White East 7-4 in the top of the 8th. Bourne on top of Hyannis 2-0 in the bottom of the 5th. Scoreless between Harwich and Orleans in the 4th. And Wareham's got a 4-0 stronghold over Chatham. Top of the 4th on the road at Veterans Field.
The Kettleers need to hold on here to keep pace with Wareham in the West Division. Of course, they're just 1 point behind of first place, and Falmouth is 1 point behind the Kettleers. So the winner of this game separates himself into second place at the very least. The 2-0, another square, but he pulls it back. Drowen can't find the strike zone. It's 3-0. The sun is set here at Lowell Park. Shadows cast across the field. Of course, no lights here. Very traditional feeling here at the ballpark. The 3-0 taken all the way. That one gets the corner. It's 3-1. Dante Williams started to take his elbow guard off. He thought that was ball 4. But he'll have to stick in the batter's box and wait the 3-1 pitch. Mason McWhorter, not much of a threat to run at first. Of course, he reached on the infield single. 3-1 to the substitute Dante Williams, who bats 7th. Squares to bunt, pulls it back, ball 4. So Williams able to work a walk. 2 straight runners reach base for the Kettleers here in the 8th, trying to add more. And it's Christian Robinson, the outfielder from Stanford.
Well, you just get the sense that Falmouth just doesn't have the grip on this game that they did to begin. Just don't have the control on the mound. Nick Nastrini was excellent in 5 innings of work, but Sam Weatherly started to slip, and that bug has gone on here to the lefty out of the bullpen in Drohan.
Now it's Christian Robinson. He singled in the 7th inning. He squares to bunt, pulls it back, another ball. Looks like the square from the Kettleer hitters is throwing off Drohan, who can't find the strike zone. And now we'll have a mound visit. Of course, no action over in the Commodore bullpen, so it's likely just to talk over things with his pitcher, Drohan.
Casey Schmidt is in the pen for the Kettleers right now up the left field line. He has sort of turned into the closer for the Kettleers over the last couple of games. Kyle Nicholas now moving into a setup role, really good tonight in 2 scoreless frames, only allowing a hit and striking out a couple. Looks like it'll be Schmidt to come on for the final 3 outs once the Kettleers get back to the field in the 9th.
With the Seminole Drohan on the mound, it reminds me of J.C. Flowers, what Casey Schmidt's doing. Of course, Flowers was the cleanup hitter for the Seminoles this year that made it to the College World Series, and he was also the closer. He would come in from center field to shut ball games down, and he was phenomenal. Ended up being a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. Casey Schmidt doing a good job of improving his draft stock on the mound and at the plate. As that one finally gets the corner, it's 1-1. Schmidt's turned into the back-end guy for this Kettleer ball club, and of course, he batted 3rd today. He already has 1 hit, and he'll probably get in that bat in the 9th. Or in the bottom of the 8th, rather. McCorder on second, he singled. Williams on first, he walked. Corners are in for the bunt. That fastball misses away. It's 2-1. Coots is in on the grass on the first base line. Moretto is on the grass on the third base line. Middle of the infield, playing for a double play. Robinson trying to sack the 2 runners over with none away in the 8th inning. Kettleers threatening to add more. It's 4-1. Drohan comes set, kicks and deals. Another fastball misses away. It's 3-1. He can't find the strike zone. Robinson waiting him out, trying to sacrifice here. On deck is the 9-hitter, Adam Oviedo. He's 1 for 3. So Robinson awaits the 3-1. He squares again and bunts it just foul. It'll be 3-2. We saw Robinson square earlier in this ball game. He bunted it right back to the pitcher on what was likely a safety squeeze. He was not able to get the run in. We'll see if Coach Roberts keeps the bunt on here with a full count, 2 runners on, nobody away. Portion of the crowd still here, hanging out in the third base grandstand, hoping to watch the Kettleers finish this one off and pick up a victory. The payoff pitch, lined out in the left center. That'll get down for a hit. Scoring is McCorder. Coming around third is Dante Williams. He will score. Robinson trying to make it a triple. He dives in, and the throw beats him. So that'll be an out at third base, but not before he plates 2 runs on a double. He tried to stretch to a triple. You love the aggressiveness from Christian Robinson.
Yeah, I love the speed from the 2 lead base runners in McWhorter and Williams. Williams lost his helmet. Robinson lost his helmet. And the Kettleers make it a 6-1 advantage in the 8th. A nice slice from Robinson. I don't think Coach Roberts is too happy with him making the first out of the inning at third base, but hey, the Kettleers will trade the 2 runs for that out.
The old adage for baseball is don't make the first or third out at third base. You love to see Robinson hustling, but he does make the first out of the inning there at the hot corner. So now the bases are empty, 1 away for the 9-hitter Adam Oviedo. First pitch fastball misses low, 1-0. So Robinson not able to get the sacrifice bunt down, and it works in the Kettleers' favor. He plates 2 with that gapper into left center. And now it's 1-0 to Ovi. That one gets the inside corner, 1-1. Oviedo, the shortstop, of course, pretty much the only true shortstop on this roster. You can pencil him in up the middle every day along with Nick Gonzalez, assuming he's healthy. The 1-1. Change up, this one on the inner half too. It's 1-2. Of course, Oviedo from TCU now transferring to Oral Roberts. He had a great year for the Horned Frogs. Going to try and keep that momentum rolling into Oral Roberts. He's been a good bottom of the order hitter for the Kettleers. 1-2, he spoils a curveball. Count will remain 1-2. Oviedo struggled a little bit, though, in his last 10 games. He's just 5 for 28. He does have a single in this one. The 1-2. Chopper out to shortstop. Cruz fields it. Throws it over and just beats Oviedo for the second out of the inning. And we're going to get a look at Kyle Nicholas at the plate.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. All right, Kyle, swing away, baby.
And I'll tell you why. It's because they had to burn the DH to get Loperfido into the field with Nick Gonzalez injured. you can't use the DH twice in the ball game once you take him out and put him in the field. So Kyle Nicholas, the pitcher, is going to have to hit. And he takes a big hack at the first pitch and swings through it. Strike one. Kyle Nicholas, I'm pretty sure, I don't think I have to check my computer. I don't think he's had an at-bat in college. I'm sure he hit in high school. The 0-1. Curveball up. It's 1-1. The entire dugout up on the fence to watch Kyle Nicholas get what will probably be his only at-bat of the summer and maybe of his entire college career. The 1-1. He grounds one out to second base. Cantrell makes a spinning play and throws it over to first base, and Nicholas stumbles over as he tries to cross the bag. You could hear the entire dugout over there for the Kettleers getting into it. A good job by Nicholas to get a piece, and he's going to come in now for the top of the ninth and try and shut the door. The Kettleers add two more. It's 6-1 in favor of Cotuit. Kyle Nicholas will shed the batting gloves, the elbow guard, and the shin guard, and toe the rubber for the last 3 outs. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Nicholas put a good swing on a ball that almost snuck through the infield for a hit. It was a nice play by Cantrell at second to rob him, and probably his only at-bat of the summer. Now he goes onto the mound trying to pin down this win and get the final 3 outs for the Kettleers. We'll get Jackson Coots, Steven Moretto, and Austin Maisel. First pitch to Coots. Fastball misses up, 1-0. Coots is 1 for 3. He singled in the 6th, has a strikeout and a fly out to third. The 1-0 from Nicholas. Lined out in the right field for a base hit. And it gets past Aubrey Major into the wall. That'll be extra bases for Coots. He'll coast into second base. And you can score that a single with an error on the right fielder, Aubrey Major. And the Kettleer outfield continues to struggle out there. We've seen it on more than a few occasions. They just have not been able to keep the ball in front.
Yeah, and the team as a whole, unfortunately, I thought we were going to break this error streak, but you can now rack it up to 13 games in a row for Cotuit with at least 1 error in the field. It's been a weak spot for this team all year long, something that's going to need to be addressed. That could come back and bite you at a crucial time, and it's now the 33rd error for the Kettleers so far this summer. That's second most in the Cape League. Only Hyannis has more. Not good company.
Not good company at all. I was about to say the same thing. Of course, Hyannis in dead last. They're 5-18 coming into today. Just 11 points, which is almost 1/3 of what the Kettleers have. Flared out foul down the first base line, rather. And it's Steven Moretto, who's 0 for 2. He walked in the 5th. Daylight is dwindling here at Lowell Park. Getting pretty dark here, and that might have played a factor in Aubrey Major not being able to see that ball. The 0-1 blows a fastball by him 94. It's 0-2.
I thought that too. It just looked like he wasn't 100% sure on where that bounce was going to go.
Haven't seen him make that mistake so far this season. So we'll give Aubrey the benefit of the doubt, but it is an issue that the Kettleer outfield has been plagued with so far this summer. Nicholas ahead 0-2. The pitch. Fastball just misses away. Kessler tried to frame that, but Piantadosi was not buying it. One and two to Moretto. He already has 2 strikeouts. Kyle Nicholas trying to give him the hat trick. The pitch. Check swing. He held up on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 2-2. Nicholas bringing the heat here in the 9th inning. It's 6-1 in favor of Cotuit. They added 2 more on a blast from Christian Robinson into the left center gap. The 2-2. Got him looking. A hat trick for Steven Moretto and another strikeout for Kyle Nicholas.
Nicholas is dialed in, and if he's going at this rate, this is exactly what the Kettleers need out of him. He's back to life and 2 outs away from securing a 6-1 victory for his team at home.
So Nicholas has 3 strikeouts already. He's got 2 outs to work with. 1 away here in the 9th, and it's a 9-hitter, Austin Maisel. First pitch fastball misses up, 1-0.
It's about the hardest we've seen him throw, too. And he's blended the control with that velocity, which is really satisfying. He's been in at 97 multiple times in this game on the radar gun.
Nicholas has looked as sharp as he has all summer long in this outing. 1-0 blows a fastball by him, 1-1. We talk about it so frequently. The issue with Nicholas isn't his stuff. It's harnessing that stuff. Opponents hit just 174 against him this spring at Ball State, yet his ERA was still over 5. Of course, that was largely predicated on a lot of free passes over there at Ball State. The 1-1. Fastball fouled away. It's 1-2 as that one goes into the parking lot and short hops a car. No car safe over there in the parking lot. We like to think we are. We park pretty far away, but anything can happen over there, especially with Kyle Nicholas throwing. The balls can carry him off the bat pretty far. So Nicholas ahead 1-2. He looks for his 4th strikeout of it the day so far. 1-2. Fastball misses away. 2-2. Coots on second base. He singled. Advanced on the error by Aubrey Major, who couldn't handle it on a hop out there and right. 1 away. Kettleers lead by 5. 2-2. It's lifted up behind home plate and out of play. Colton Kessler had no idea where it was, but fortunately, that got up and out into the stands. It's getting to that point of evening here where the ball is lifted in the air. It's pretty hard to see it. Count remains 2-2 to the 9-hitter Maisel. On deck is the leadoff hitter Hayden Cantrell. The 2-2. Chopper over to third base. It is foul. Casey Schmidt was running over, ready to make probably another one of those jump throws over there from third base and shot the pitching arm. That one chopped just foul, so we'll do 2-2 again. Maisel 1 for 3. Nicholas already has 3 strikeouts in this outing, looking for 4. It's 2-2. Blew it by him. There it is. 4 strikeouts for Kyle Nicholas, and that's 2 away. Falmouth down to their last out. It's a leadoff hitter, Hayden Cantrell, who robbed Kyle Nicholas of a base hit in the 8th inning. Never thought I'd say that.
A chance to get even then. How about that?
Never thought I would say that sentence coming into this season. But baseball, you never know what's going to happen. So Falmouth down to their last out. Coots still standing out there all alone at second base. Nobody holding him on. The first pitch. Fastball blew it by him 0-1. The switch hitter Cantrell bats from the left side against a right-hander Nicholas. On deck, Blake Dunn, if Cantrell can extend this ball game. Falmouth chasing 5, just 1 out to spare. 0-1 blew it by him, it's 0-2. Again, 97 from Nicholas, who keeps lighting up the gun. Nicholas 1 strike away. He's already got 4 punch-outs in his 2 innings of work, trying to make it 5. Kettleer fans rooting on another strikeout for Nicholas. They clap. In anticipation of the 0-2, it just misses up and out. It's 1-2. Of course, Lo Perfido now out there at second base. Rest of the defense looks the same for the Kettleers. The remaining Kettleer faithful cheering on Nicholas. That's lifted out into left field. Going back is Robinson. He's sprinting towards the wall, makes the grab. Ball game. Kyle Nicholas shuts the door, and the Kettleers win 6-1. So Cotuit able to extend their lead over Falmouth, who was sneaking up in the West Division. They now are at 28 points, and we'll see what happens with the Wareham game. The Kettleers have put themselves in a position to recapture the top spot in the West Division.
A great job by Cotuit today. It really started with the pitching. Sean Sullivan worked 4 solid innings, and then the bullpen got back on track. The 2 hard throwers in Bo Hofstra and Kyle Nicholas, very effective. And Kyle Nicholas working the final 9 outs of this game was probably one of the most impressive things for me. He got his velocity back up, but he also found his way back into the strike zone, and that is the most important thing every single time. Kettleers were able to knock down a win against a really tough opponent in Falmouth.
As the 2 teams shake hands, of course, that's a Cape Cod tradition. We will wrap things up after this brief break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes to put a bow on this one. Kettleers win 6-1 here at Lowell Park. Kettleers win by a score of 6-1. They're able to beat Falmouth here at Lowell Park for the first time this season. Of course, they came into this ball game 0-2 with just 2 runs in the 2 games combined against the Commodores. A big bounce-back win after a tough loss yesterday against Bourne. What'd you like today, Sam? There was so much to choose from.
It was all about the pitching for me, Aram. A great start by Sean Sullivan with the 7 strikeouts across 4 innings. Bo Hofstra got back to form, pitching 2 innings in the 5th and the 6th, striking out 4. He only walked 2, and then Kyle Nicholas came on for the final 3, didn't allow a run, did not walk anybody, and that was the biggest key. 4 strikeouts for Nicholas, a lot of life on his fastball. He topped out at 98 miles an hour on the radar gun. Just a nice day for the Kettleers after a committee day for the staff yesterday. A game in which it looked like Cotuit never had their footing on the mound, never really set the tone early, but Mike Roberts has to be a lot more pleased with his team on the mound today. A solid start from Sullivan, and the bullpen really picked it up. And when this team executes at the back end of their pitching staff, they're going to be a tough out.
Sullivan set the tone, going 4 innings, striking out 7 of the first 8 outs he recorded. He finished 4 innings, 1 earned run on 4 hits, 1 walk, struck out 7. Bo Hofstra picks up the win for the Kettleers. He went 2 innings in the middle, gave up 1 hit, no runs, walked 2, struck out 4. And of course, as you said, Sam, Kyle Nicholas, perhaps the most impressive, 2 2/3, 2 hits, 4 strikeouts, and that upper 90s fastball had scouts salivating.
Yeah, it was just so good, and he was able to confuse hitters and go up in the zone and get ahead of guys too. No walks for me was the biggest thing that he did today. His control was on point, and if you're throwing 97, okay, that's cool, but if you're throwing 97 for a strike, then all right, you got something really going here, and Nicholas got going tonight.
As for the offensive side of things, leading the way was Mason McCorder. He adds 3 more hits. He's been so good coming back from that flu he had. He was 3 for 4 with an RBI. Christian Robinson not far behind, 2 for 4 with a pair of RBI. He added those 2 insurance runs in the bottom of the 8th. And then, of course, Aubrey Major adds another hit, plates 2, and Casey Schmidt keeps his hitting streak going. Another notable stat line on the offensive side, it's Kyle Nicholas. He finished 0 for 1.
Yeah.
But the fact that he even got in that bat was amazing, and he actually almost had a hit. He just missed it. He was robbed by Cantrell, and he got revenge, though, setting down Cantrell to end the ball game.
It was fun. It was cute and fun, but unfortunately the reason why it happened is because Nick Gonzalez got hurt, which you hope that he comes back healthy, and we don't have an update on his injury, but hopefully he's able to play soon and it's nothing major. But going back to the contributors you mentioned, Mason McCorder and Christian Robinson stepped up. You got to have those if you want to win games and win games consistently. If your everyday guys aren't producing at the rate they normally do, hence a Nick Gonzalez, hence maybe a Casey Schmidt with an off day, hence maybe a Colton Kessler who's batting in that cleanup spot and goes 0 for 4. Well, guys at the bottom of the order picked him up, and McCorder has been fantastic since his return from the flu. Great to see him back at full strength with the 3 hits today and another RBI double, and even Christian Robinson coming up with insurance late with the 2-run double. Really good stuff from those guys at the bottom part of the Kettleer lineup.
A big part of the victory for the Kettleers, too, was keeping that top of the Falmouth order at bay. Hayden Cantrell finished 0 for 4 with a walk. He came into today's game hitting .350 and swinging a really hot bat. And, of course, Zach Deloche held to 1 for 4 with a hat trick, 3 Ks. And he came off of a 2-home-run ball game, and he was hitting .400 coming into today. Kettleers able to keep that potent top of the Falmouth order really pretty much useless today for a really good offense, and played their luck with the bottom of that Commodore order. And, of course, Nick Nastrini ends up picking up the loss. Unfortunately, he looked really good. He went 5 strong, only gave up 2 earned runs. He's looked really good in his 9 innings against Cotuit.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good, but the Kettleers were able to get to the bullpen, which was the key. And Sam Weatherly, along with Logan Hoffman and the other Drohan that came in, they were just not up to par. And Cotuit took advantage of Nastrini exiting after 5 innings. And the pitching, as you mentioned, it got to the key part of the Falmouth order. That was a really big thing because Falmouth has just killed Cotuit over the last few games from an offensive standpoint. They put up 17 runs in a game last year here at Lowell Park against the Kettleers. This time around, much different story, and good to see that Cotuit's able to stand their ground and hold them to 1 run with good pitching from front to back.
And the Commodores actually punched out 15 times as a ball club. Great effort from the Cotuit pitching today, and that's a wrap. It's 6-1 in favor of the Kettleers here at Lowell Park. They take sole possession of second place, and for the time being first, actually. Depending on how that Wareham game ends, it looks like they're up 6-0 in the 4th inning over Chatham. So it looks like the Kettleers will be all alone in second place, but important to separate themselves from Falmouth, who is sneaking up. So a big win for the Kettleers at Lowell Park, 6-1. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending this ball game with us. We'll be back tomorrow on Mixler. For Sam Niederman, I'm Aram Layton. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Have a good one.